are that the officer encountered someone within the stairwell, and that's where the firing occurred. That person has since been taken to the Huntsville hospital. Bluebell Ice Cream announces the release of a new flavor in tribute to a St. Louis dessert. The gooey butter cake ice cream involves pieces of cream cheese along with cake pieces. The new flavor is available in half gallons and pints for a limited time. I'm Andrea Tice.
For more news affecting Alabamians, go to 1819news.com. And while you're there, subscribe to the daily newsletter.
Hi there, I'm Kim Williams with Alabama Home Mortgage. For years, I've been asking you to call me at Alabama Home Mortgage because there is a difference in mortgage companies. When you call Alabama Home Mortgage, from the moment we pick up the phone, you will hear the difference. We are passionate about what we do. To us, you're not just another applicant. When you call on us, you are trusting that we have your best interest at heart, and we do. We treat our customers like family, and that's why our customers turn into family, coming back to us time and time again. We know you have many options when it comes to mortgage financing, and we appreciate the opportunity to earn your business. We are excited to hear from you. Give Alabama Home Mortgage a call at 567-4223. That's 567-4223. Or visit us online at myalabamahomemortgage.com to complete an application on your time. Our passion is just one difference that sets us apart from the rest. It's not just a slogan. Call Alabama Home Mortgage because, folks, there is a difference in mortgage companies. NMLS 1586-368, Equal Housing Lender.
The views and opinions of the following program are solely those of the host and other contributors. These do not necessarily represent those of Liberty Acquisitions 825, Blue Water Broadcasting, its management, staff, or any advertisers. It's time for Montgomery's conversational radio show. It's news and views on News Talk 93.1 FM. To join the conversation, call 272-9228.
After damning politicians uphill and down dale for many years as rogues, vagabonds, frauds, and scoundrels, I sometimes suspected, like everyone else, I often expect too much of them.
Joey Clark.
Welcome into News and Views in the afternoon. I'm your host, Joey Clark. So much to get to today. Joining us at 1 o'clock Central Time, we have Coach Tommy Tuberville. Also, the Prattville Library, of all places, the public library there in Prattville, is in the national spotlight. CNN doing coverage about the director's firing there. We'll be talking to the chairman of the board, Ray Bowles, about that. But without further ado, as is tradition on Tuesdays, we have the one, the only Judge Andrew Napolitano. Judge, how are you, sir?
I'm well, Joey, my dear friend. How are you?
I'm doing quite well indeed. We're both doing better than the Pope, I think.
Yes, we are.
So much to get to today, and in particular with Trump's the lawfare, the trials, the legal maneuvering that's going on. I say we start with the one for the great state of New York with Letitia James and this other judge. And Trump's lawyers came out yesterday saying it was a practical impossibility to post his $454 million bond. What do you think is going to happen here?
I think the Attorney General, is going to execute on the judgments, meaning she'll begin to seize assets. Now, my understanding of his ownership of these assets is that he actually doesn't own these buildings. He owns shares of stock in the Trump Organization, which owns shares of stock in many corporations, which owns these buildings subject to the debt that's on them. Bottom line is, she can force the sale of one or more of these buildings. That would result in paying off the mortgages on them, seizing up to what the state is owed, which is now about $480 or $90 million, and then paying the rest to whoever the owner of the building is, which would be some corporation owned by the Trump Organization. The other option would be for Trump to appeal the decision of the judge not requiring the full amount of the bond. He's already lost an emergency appeal, but he's entitled to one more. I've encouraged that appeal, and I'll tell you why. The reason that a judgment debtor, a person who's lost a lawsuit, is required to post to the amount of money they lost with the court or purchase an insurance policy called a bond, which names the court as the beneficiary of the policy, is the fear that the debtor will dissipate his assets, and that when the time comes due for the judgment creditor, the victorious plaintiff, to collect the money, there won't be any money. But I've stated here and elsewhere that it's impossible for Trump to dissipate his assets because the Trump organization is under the direction of a monitor who's a retired federal judge. So they can't mortgage any property or sell any property or hide any property or transfer any property to a third party without the monitor's approval, and she'd never approve it. I don't know if they've made that argument yet to the court, but I suggest a rational and fair reason why he shouldn't have to post a bond of that magnitude.
And it seems like they've almost got him in checkmate on that particular one. I guess we'll see the next steps. But of course, you also have the Atlanta case where now Nathan Wade is stepped down. It looks like Fannie Willis, however you say her name, is going to pursue this, though I guess she might eventually step down. But does this case even get to trial there, the Fulton County case, before Election Day?
I think so. A soap opera that we all watched about her relationship to her boyfriend, which in my view should not have gone on for 2 weeks, but you have a relatively new judge there who, and I'll say this again, is up for election in November. He's a Republican in a Democrat county. He got the job because he was appointed by a Republican governor. I hope he's not making decisions intended to enhance his political career, but doing what he believes is the right thing under the Constitution and the law and the facts as he understands them. Nevertheless, that trial did go on for 2 weeks. That was a delay. But Fannie Willis has a team of serious, experienced prosecutors ready to take over the courtroom aspects of this case. Her management of it doesn't mean she's going to try it. That'd be the worst thing for her to come in the courtroom. You don't want to remind the jury that the prosecutor probably lied under oath. You want her as far away from that courthouse as you can. She can supervise the case from her office.
Right.
And I don't know where they are in pretrial motions, but they have a trial date for around Labor Day. Obviously, Trump will do everything he can to delay it. I mean, let's say he's elected president. They're not going to put him on trial while he's president, but they would put him on trial afterwards. Or let's say they put him on trial, he's convicted, and he's sentenced to jail. He's not going to go to jail while he's president. That sentence would be suspended for his time as president. On the other hand, if he's not the Republican nominee for some reason, or if he doesn't win in November, then all these delays turn out to be of no value to him whatsoever.
Well, and that's not all, folks. We also have the documents case under Judge Cannon. Some of the headlines seemed, especially pro-Trump sources, seemed exhilarated. I just want to read you one, see what your take on it is. Jack Smith must now decide whether to allow jurors to peruse every single personal classified document found at Mar-a-Lago or give jurors PRA instructions that would effectively order the jury to automatically acquit President Trump. Does that sound right based on the ruling that came out?
That sounds to me like a pro-Trump source that is not a lawyer. I don't know who wrote it. I don't want to criticize a person by name, but that is not the case at all. She has not. See, in the federal system, the judges cannot, except during the trial, cannot make decisions from the bench without reducing them to writing. She has mused aloud. She also is a relatively new judge, and she's done something that's a real rookie mistake, which is musing aloud what you think you're going to do. That really sends off bells and whistles to both sides that you don't want to send. in the federal system, none of her rulings, except for the immediate ones during a trial, sustained, overruled, that type of thing, none of those rulings are valid until she reduces them to writing and signs them. And she has not done that yet. But what that's about is the dilemma that the feds have when trying cases involving national defense information. The Sixth Amendment requires that the defendant confront the evidence against him. But Congress has written laws which keep these documents secret. So how can he be confronted with the alleged secret without showing it to a jury, without showing it to the press? Well, Congress has written statutes. They're very difficult to comply with, but they exist, which allow jurors, the defendant, defense counsel, and of course prosecutors, and when relevant, witnesses, and of course the judge, to see things that the public can't see. It's very, very difficult. In the Ollie North case, they gave up the ghost. They decided it was just impossible to comply with this. So even though we think he's guilty, I'm saying this as a friend of Ollie's, even though we think he's guilty, even though we think he revealed national defense information, where we can't prosecute him because more will come out in the trial than we think he revealed. Sometimes the government does give up the ghost on that. I can't see Jack Smith giving up the ghost.
Well, and again, we'll see where it goes. It makes sense what you're talking about with Judge Cannon being new, musing aloud. I think that allows people to write headlines to write whatever they like. And again, folks, we're talking to Judge Andrew Napolitano. You can always check out his podcast, Judging Freedom. It's a fantastic podcast. I love that it comes in short bites so you can consume it, but it's topics from all over the world, including our dear country. And did you see that your comments, I think it was to Professor Sachs, about, and you had told this to me, I think months ago, about Trump and JFK and releasing those documents, that went quite viral on the Twitter or X platform, wherever the heck we're calling it these days.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was, somebody picked it up, I think Colin Rugg, and it got a lot of attention. So people are interested in that whole story right there with.
They are. My friend Jerry Corsi is out with another book. I mean, there's just hundreds, maybe even thousands of books. I don't know on the JFK assassination, but Jerry, who's a PhD historian, has examined everything he can get his hands on, and it was American intelligence that caused this to happen, the American intelligence community. So I wish that Trump would reveal those documents. I also wish he would tell me what it is that they showed him and who they were. I can guess, but I don't want to be like Judge Cannon and just think off the top of my head.
Right. And now I want to close with this. I want to quote Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson. For the audience that hasn't heard this yet, Judge, I imagine you have. This is over that case that's now over the government using kind of the backdoor to pressure tech companies, I believe. I can't remember the name now. I think it's Mundy or v. Missouri, something to that effect. But this is Ketanji Brown Jackson, I'm quoting, folks. Quote, "My biggest concern is that your view has the First Amendment hamstringing the federal government in significant ways in the most important time periods. And so I guess some might say the government actually has a duty to take steps to protect the citizens of this country, and you seem to be suggesting that that duty cannot manifest itself in the government encouraging or even pressuring platforms to take down harmful information. So can you help me? Because I'm really worried about that, because you've got the First Amendment operating in an environment of threatening circumstances from the government's perspective, and you're saying that the government can't interact with the source of those problems." Again, that's Ketanji Brown Jackson.
The short answer is yes. The First Amendment was intended to hamstring the government and to silence it. The whole purpose of the First Amendment is to keep the government out of the business of speech. Are we still together, Joe? There you are.
Yes, sir. I was just showcasing you.
What's even more distressing than what she said is who agreed with her. Justice Kavanaugh, Chief Justice Roberts. This case could be a disaster for the First Amendment. However, thinking off the top of my head, I think they're going to find a way not to reach the ultimate issue. I think they're going to find that the plaintiffs don't have standing. I and throw the whole case out. In my opinion, it's very, very clear what happened here. The federal government has been doing indirectly what the Constitution prohibits it from doing directly, which is suppressing speech and advancing speech. There is no governmental interest, none, that not even theoretical, that can trump lowercase t, that can trump the First Amendment. It's the Great Amendment. It's the reason we are Americans. It's your right to think as you wish, say what you think, read what you want, publish what you say, period. No permission slips, no exceptions, no government involvement whatsoever.
Hear, 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 hear. And imagine if the Anti-Federalists hadn't gotten the Bill of Rights, how far gone we would be. At least we still have that we can appeal to.
It's become a bill of government privileges. It's not a Bill of Rights anymore, unless the Supreme Court does the right thing from time to time.
Well, and before I let you go, who do you have coming up on Judging Freedom this week?
Well, I have all my regulars this week. Today I have Professor Jeffrey Sachs. I didn't know that my comments with him became so viral. He had quite a brouhaha with my former colleague. Oh God, the name now escaping me. British guy that works for Fox.
Oh, Piers Morgan.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, but Jeff's one of the smartest people I know. He can take on almost anybody. Jeff is fiercely against the genocide in Gaza and fiercely against Americans in this aid in this feudal war in Ukraine. Anyway, Jeff is on today. Colonel Kwiatkowski is on today. Matt Ho is on today. Colonel McGregor was just on an hour or so ago. Scott Ritter will be on later in the week. Professor Mearsheimer, Max Blumenthal. You want to see a really talented, charming woman? It's Mrs. Max Blumenthal, who uses her family name, Anya Parampil. She was on, and that took off wonderfully. An independent journalist in her own right.
Well, I appreciate your time as always, and I encourage folks, especially if you want a different perspective than the usual corporate media, especially on questions of war, check out Judging Freedom today. And until next week, thank you, Judge. Really appreciate the time.
Man, all the best.
Yes, sir. Again, folks, that's Judge Andrew Napolitano. Always appreciate the time with him. Got to hit a quick break here, and then we'll have the chairman of the board of the Prattville Public Library, Ray Bowles, in the studio here with me. Look forward to our conversation. Before the break, though, this part of the program brought to you by Josh and Leslie Ryder there at Dillon Rings. Now, this week, if you go to Dillon Rings' Facebook page, you can see that they're having renovations done. And so they're upgrading that showroom. They want it to look just as good as the jewelry they have on offer there. And when you're talking about Dillon Rings, you're talking about a full-service jewelry shop. So not only do they have great selections from high-end pieces, even sometimes antique heirloom pieces, to everyday jewelry that, you're not going to cry about if you lose it at the beach or something, but it still looks great. But they also have repairs they can do, whether it's watch repairs or general jewelry repairs, spa treatments for that jewelry of yours. Don't you feel great after going to the spa? Your jewelry will too. And really, at the end of the day, they can do appraisals, custom design work. Like I said, full service jewelry shop. That's Dillon Rings. So you can always call them at 215-3669. But I really encourage you to stop by 119 Brown Springs Road here in Montgomery, just off of Atlanta Highway. I remember it because it's where I kind of used to work for 2 years at the old Fun Zone. You can still see the platform the rink was on. So y'all check out Dillon Rings today, and be sure to tell them that Joey from the radio sent you.
He may not know whether he's coming or going, but whether you're going to work or coming home, Greg Budell is there. Mornings 6 till 9 and afternoons 3 till 6. Only on News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
I'm with Miss Dot at the Eastbrook Flea Market and Antique Mall. How was your anniversary sale, Dot?
It was just wonderful, and I want to thank everybody that came out. It was a great time. It meant so much to me for it to be 30 years, and y'all just came out and made my day.
Well, spring is almost here. Is Eastbrook ready?
We're beginning to get the patio tables and chairs out. We've got so much there. It's hard to put it into a minute commercial. You just got to come see what we got. We've got 3 floors and 60,000 square feet. So just come see us, because we probably got a sale or two going, and Our merchandise is pretty reasonable, I think. We don't charge a commission to the vendors, and so our prices are able to be a little bit less than some other places.
Give us those hours of operation.
Monday through Friday, 10 until 6. Saturday, 9 until 6. And Sunday is 12:30 to 4:30.
That's the Eastbrook Flea Market and Antique Mall, 425 Coliseum Boulevard.
So y'all come on by and see us. We'd love to have you.
Who's there?
It's Bill, the electrician, here to make your home burglar-proof.
Oh, thank goodness. I thought maybe you were an intruder.
No, ma'am. I'm a burglar's worst nightmare.
If your house doesn't have sufficient outdoor lighting, it's a prime target for intruders. That's why you should call Crosby Electric today.
How's it going, Bill?
Just fine, ma'am. See, when your intruder trips this wire, it grabs him by the foot and hangs him upside down.
Really?
The experts at Crosby Electric will install lighting that not only discourages intruders, but also makes it safer for you and your guests to navigate around steps, pools, and other tripping hazards.
Bill, is that contraption safe?
Oh, sure. It's disarmed now, but...
Bill!
Like I said, I'm a burglar's worst nightmare.
I see.
You mind cutting me down, ma'am?
Avoid your worst nightmare. Call the outdoor lighting experts at Crosby Electric or visit crosbyelectric.com.
Sometimes you need things done around your house or land that your lawnmower or weed eater just can't handle. That's when you call Prattville Farm Center. They bring their own crew and equipment and clear whatever you need. They say no job is too small. I've been going to Prattville Farm Center for years, and I like dealing with hometown folks. They get the job done right and get it done quickly. If you have land that needs clearing, call Randy at Prattville Farm Center on South Memorial Drive in Prattville. Call 365-5400.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Are you a victim of the timeshare trap and think there's no way out? I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, the original timeshare cancellation expert, and I'm here to tell you that there is a way out. We've helped over 30,000 families out of financial hardship by getting them out of bad timeshares. If your timeshare agreement goes on forever, if you were told timeshares are a great investment, or your maintenance fees will never go up, you have questions, we have the answers. At Wesley Financial Group, we're dedicated to helping timeshare owners get out of their financial nightmare. All you need to do is give my office a call. I will send you a timeshare exit information kit absolutely free, explaining how the timeshare industry works and your options for cancellation.
Call now for your free timeshare exit information kit. Call 800-761-0000. That's 800-761-0000. 800-761-0000.
For too long, Alabama's statewide news companies have shamed us for our conservative Christian values. Alabama deserves a news company that cherishes our culture, a company that isn't bought and paid for by the powers that be. 1819 News is that company. Run by Alabamians for Alabamians, 1819 News celebrates what is good and beautiful about our state, while exposing those who work against our values in secret. Just go to 1819news.com to learn more. Subscribe to our newsletter. That's 1819news.com.
Live local talk. The River Region's only 24-hour News Talk FM station. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back to News and Views in the afternoon. Now, as promised, right across the desk from me here in the studio, we have the one, the only Ray Bowles. Ray, how you doing today?
I am great. How you guys doing?
I'm all right. I don't know where Eddie is.
I don't know. He's listening.
He's always working.
He's always working.
Always doing up to something.
Absolutely.
That guy can't stop working.
I love the new office. I haven't been in here since y'all moved downstairs.
Really?
Yeah. So this is great.
Yeah, I like not having to climb the
Except for that little
stairs.
camera right there.
Yeah, it's not hooked up to anything.
Okay. Well,
yeah.
I thought you were like live streaming this thing or something.
Oh, well, yeah, that one's hooked up and that one's hooked up.
Why is it not facing you?
Well, I got one right here.
I don't have a face for radio.
Oh,
for TV.
I don't either. So we're going to try to make this work. But, we often talk every day about your business, Prattville Carpet. But today I wake up and I see a national news headlines and even CNN talking about the public library in Prattville, in particular talking about y'all and on the board. I'm like, hey, I know these people.
Yeah.
These are my folks. So I talked about this on Friday with Craig Monger. They did some good reporting on what happened, but I want to hear it right from you. What went down here?
There's so much misinformation on this situation. But I want to start out first and foremost by saying what we are doing, we are absolutely not attacking the LGBTQ community. Now, while we do this interview, if I say it wrong, you have to forgive me because I'm dyslexic. And if you read anything I've wrote, you will understand that I cannot read, I cannot spell, and my writing stuff is awful. But I'd never, ever use it as something of shame or embarrassment. I like to put it out there. I love to tell everybody because there's a lot of kids and a lot of people that have the same reading it, the same disability.
My dad did.
You know, and it's just not a problem. You just figure out how to deal with it and move on with life and don't let it hold you back. So I'm going to tell you this story. And at the end, if you agree or disagree, great. But I would ask for everybody to calm down. This is America. We have every right to disagree with one another. There's no reason to burn the town down. All right, so here's how this all works out. The first board quits. I haven't even looked at the library, never even thinking about a library. But when the first board got up mad and quit, I called a friend and said, "What's going on?" And they explained it to me. I said, "Well, Angie's not going to be happy with me, but if you need me to, I'll get on there and see if I can straighten this out." No idea the storm that was coming down our way. And I really in my heart of thoughts thinking, hey, this is simple. So here's what my dum-dum did. I went to the Mad Moms and I said, give me the list of books y'all are angry about. And they gave me the list. And then I took that list to Andrew Foster. And I said, I want you to go through this list and I want you to highlight everything in this list that has to do with the LGBTQ community. And I want you not to highlight anything that has to do with sex or sexuality. And what I mean by that, so you're clear on what I'm talking about, is anything that's kissing or below, I don't consider sex or sexuality. Don't even care about those books.
Right.
But what I want to do is I want to go back to the moms and I want to explain to them that the books in yellow that are part of the LGBTQ community are staying right where they are. I'm not willing to touch them. These are our brothers and sisters in our town, and they have every right to be in the library. And if they have kids, they have every right to get hold of those books and read those books, if that's what they choose to do. But if it has to do with sex and sexuality, we will move those to the adult section. We're not going to take them out of the library. Because unfortunately, there are times in life when people run into a situation and they need that material. They don't have the resources to go to speak to a professional, and they need that material in that space. And they need a safe space to quietly and go get that. It'll be in there for them. I'm not going to move one book out of this library. And so what Foster did,
and he is the director of the library at the time. Was now.
Former.
Yes.
He did what I asked him to do, but then he emailed me the list and everybody else. After I told him we're just going to quietly talk to this one group and see if we can get them to calm down. Let's do one group at a time. And then maybe we can go to the other group and say, hey guys, listen, I promise we're not going after this. We're not going after y'all. It's only these certain books that we want to get out of the hands of children and put them in the adult section. But he emails them. And conveniently, 2 hours later or so, we get he gets a Freedom of Information Act for those emails. Where it blew up with us was the city attorney in January had told him in an email, because somebody else had asked for him, in a recording, because he'd been recording us the whole time, and I'll get to that in a minute.
Okay.
But that under the Freedom of Information Act, those emails between the board and a board and the director, any communication or text messages or recorded messages did not fall under that. Do not release them. And he did it anyway. And he did it on purpose to try to make it look like we were attacking the LGBT community, when the whole time we've been fighting for them and fighting for this community. And I truly believe he just wanted us to quit too, until he got the right people that he wanted on that board. Because think about it, the whole board quit. Then we had a new member that quit. I have been in politics years ago for 8 years on the city council. I never witnessed an entire board quitting. You know, so you don't see it. This town did not blow up until July when he came into town. And then it blew up. And my crazy self thought I might could calm it down. Sometimes I don't have the greatest thoughts. So what I'm going to ask this community to do is calm down. I'm going to ask my friends in the LGBT community to trust me. I'm not coming for your books. I'm not coming for anything like that. And I would ask y'all, if you agree that there are certain books that have sex and sexuality in it, to stand up and back us. I think that 30 people hijacked y'all's movement, and it's not right. Now, let's get back to the recordings.
Yeah.
Okay. I knew Andrew was recording us without him ever telling me he was doing it, because he kept asking me oddly specific questions, and most of them pertain to why. Just say what this is. Just say that you're attacking the LGBT community. And I fire right back at him. I say, why are you saying that? They have nothing to do with this conversation. It's not about them. It is about the children not getting their hands on books that they don't need to see. And this went on and on and on. And I can say it now because he put it in the paper. When we had the meeting to talk about if we were going to let him go, or if we were going to put him on suspension, or if he was going to resign, what we were going to do. As soon as we started, about 2 minutes in, I stopped and I said, "Are you recording us?" He said, "Yes." I said, "Let me see it." And he pulled his phone out of the pocket. And anybody in politics knows you cannot record an executive session. You break the law. Right then and there, that was it. We didn't have a choice. We let him go. And then we made a beeline. From there, we zipped right out, went straight over to the library to grab his computer. It was me, Rachel, and Quincy. And to get the computer and tell everybody in the library what went down. Now, this next part is going to dovetail into another part.
Okay.
So we were explaining to everybody what went down, and I told the library board, we're here to help y'all, or the library, everybody in the library. We are here to help you. We will have an interim quickly. We will find a director quickly. We will get this handled. Do we need to take a break?
No.
Okay, good. So in that statement, I said, now listen, quietly, I have been talking to Bill Gillespie and some of the county commission, and I'm going to talk to some of the city council, because this is a board of the city and the county.
Okay.
And we're going to try to get y'all a raise, because $10 an hour is not enough. And the city council and the mayor and the commission have my back, and they're here to help too. So then we finish what we're doing. I go back to the store at 5 because I want to let Bart go home, and close it up at 5:30. And I close it up and I'm headed to the house, and I get a phone call that the library people, the people down there, have made the decision to close the library and protest. So I call Angie. I'm like, oh man, are you kidding me? Now I got to go handle this. So I call Angie, say, hey, I'm not going to be able to eat supper tonight. I'm so sorry. I'm going back to the library. I call Rachel, get her to meet me over there. And by the time I get down there, I am absolutely 100% angry. I went from nice Ray to mean Ray, 2 different people. And I go in there, and yes, it got really heated. I completely blew up. I threw out that fake reporter, Josh Holmes. Accidentally hit a lady with the door when I threw him out, because I don't like talking fake news. And go back in there, and we're arguing back and forth. And I finally said, are y'all going to open this library? They said no. I said, all right, I got to call the board. And I walk off. And I was calling the board saying, hey, I'm fixing to fire everybody. I'm not putting up with this. So I got off the phone. I go back over there. I said, okay, I'm going to ask you one more time. What is your name, and will you open the door? They said no, and I fired them. Give me your keys. Get your stuff, get out of this library. I don't have time for people to do this to me. and you're not going to use the library as a political movement, I'm not standing for this. So then I locked the, okay, when we went and talked to the guys originally, we're going to back up for just a second.
Sure.
After we got the computer out of Andrew's office, we lock the door and we leave. When I go back down there and I'm mad, the door was open. So I said, who went in his office? And one of the little girls snapped at me. I did. I had to get something out of there. So I shut the door and I lock it again. And then as I ran everybody out of the library, I looked over and one of the toilets were running 90 to nothing. But this is a commercial toilet. This is dovetailing into something else. I know how to work on most toilets. I couldn't work on this one because it's commercial. So I call Mayor Gillespie. I said, I hate to tell you this, but the toilet's running nonstop. He said, wait a minute, the city pays for the water. Where are you? I said, well, I'm on the way home. Can I come by and get the keys to the library because I need to go get that fixed? What mayor is going to come by at 7 o'clock at night and get the keys to the library and go fix a toilet? That would be Mayor Gillespie.
All right.
He actually did that.
Wow.
So Saturday morning, we go in and hire the new person, and as the new director, and go over a few things with her. Hang on, take a drink of water.
Right. Getting folks talking to Ray Bowles.
Okay, so I leave and I get a phone call. The books are gone. What do you mean the books are gone? Because Andrew Foster, in his wisdom, when I sent him that list, pulled every one of those books off the shelf. And I had been trying my hardest to get them back on there, and he would not put them back. Absolutely. He's like, nope, to put them back, we got to have a vote. We're going to have a special meeting, because he was doing everything he could to make us look as bad as possible. I said, what are you talking about? Those books are gone. We got to get them on the shelf. They're gone. They're not in the library. They're not in his office. They're nowhere to be found. I said, crap. Call the police department right now. So we called and made a report of missing books. Rachel stayed down there all afternoon going through the videos, and we found where they took some of the employees took the books. Called them up and said, you got to get them back now, or this is fixing to get really bad. We got the books back. And this is what we've been dealing with on a daily basis. Is one thing after another, after another, after another, and it all came out of that director's office and a few rogue employees.
Now, everything you just said, and if I could give it back to you, you'd been in politics and part of leadership in the Prattville community for 8 years on the city council. I knew that about you. You're a local business owner, advertised on the show and other places. You're pretty high profile. Like, people would know who Ray Bowles is in the community. I'll put it that way. And you decide, after all this goes down with the board quitting, the library board quitting, that, you know what, because I have this experience, I'm going to stand up. I'm going to try to create a compromise in this situation, because we're all here in Prattville. We're local. We're neighbors. So you're going to address this one group who has a grievance. You're going to try to create some workable situation with the other groups and all the opposing interests here. As you're doing that, you find that the director of the library seems to be laying traps for y'all the whole time. Like, he's recording you, in particular recording executive sessions. There are all of a sudden all sorts of media requests for emails that you thought you were just going to get for yourself, again, because you're doing this compromise over these books. And then when you find out, okay, he's recording an executive session, which is illegal, you're going to fire him. Then the staff there bars up the library. So they have to be fired. I think, and subsequently 1 or 2 have come back. One has come back.
One called me. She did call me the next day, apologized, said, I let my emotions get a hold of me.
All right.
I said, listen, you come back to work. We'll never hold this against you. We're not going to write you up. We're not going to put it in a file. Just come back to work, because this library needs you.
So I now want to, because you laid out your story, and I think I gave a fair appraisal of what you just told me.
Yes.
Summary. This is what CNN's Caitlin Collins wrote on her Twitter account just after last night interviewing former director Andrew Foster on her show. Caitlin Collins writes, Andrew Foster, the director of my hometown's public library, was fired last week amid a book fight. Says his job was politicized. Quote, and I believe this is quoting Foster, absolutely. And that's unfortunately happening at libraries all over the state and all over the nation. Well, from your story, Ray, he was the one that came in with an agenda to politicize it from the get-go before you'd really even gotten to know this guy, imagine, because he's there as you get on the board.
Yes.
And my words, not yours, this guy is a little snake, and he wants to slither up to national TV and make it seem like it's y'all that are politicizing it when you in particular are trying to create a compromise between these different groups. And he's the one running to the press. He's the one pulling books off the shelves you didn't ask him to pull off the shelves. You're trying to create understanding. I guess I should get used to it at this point. This is how national media and how so many folks within so-called professional settings tend to work these days. And I think it's miserable, and we, Prattville in particular, should be better than that.
Well, and the bigger problem that we have in this entire situation is that a lot of people won't pick up a phone and call. For instance, Jacob Holmes wrote a hit piece. I won't talk to Jacob Holmes. I think he's a fake reporter. There's nothing real about this dude. That when I fired those 4 people, I told them that I was calling the city council and the mayor and the county commission because they had my back, because he had a recording of me saying that. Do you remember when I was telling them I'm trying to get them a raise?
Yeah.
Do you know how many people in the city council, the mayor's office, or that county commission's called me and asked me, hey, is that true? Because it is Jacob Holmes, and we all know he's a liar. 2. For that, I'm very disappointed. Now, when I took this fight on, I told everybody on the board, if y'all will line up behind me, I will take the arrows. I'm good at taking arrows. Very few things pierce me. And drives Angie nuts because she is emotional and she can't take them. And even though all these people came after my business, they shut my Google account down. They've gone after my Yelp account. They've gone after us completely. They've gone after my family. And it has been one attack after another. And when I took this on, I knew I was risking a lot for our business and people not buying from me. But there's one verse in the Bible that rings in my ear always, or 2 really. The first one is, you protect the children. And if you don't, it's not going to be good. The second is, the love of money is where the heart is. And I told a businessman last night that called me. I said, hey, he was giving me that, boy, you keep it up. I said, have you said anything? Have you made any public at all? Oh, no, I can't. Some of my people might not buy from me. I said, Jesus is watching you, buddy. And that's the love of money. We got to stand up for the children. This is not about churches. This is not about the LGBTQ community. We're all in this together to protect the children. And if you're worried about money, that ain't good. That ain't good at all. So I'm willing to take the fight. But there's a couple of things else do we need to talk about. Do we need to take a break?
Yeah, we do need
Okay,
a
let's go
quick
break.
break here, and we'll finish up more with Ray Bowles on the other side.
Want to carry News Talk in your pocket? Download the News Talk 93.1 app from the App Store. Available on iPhone and Android. Never miss a moment. Download now.
The Veterans Access to Care bill, now in the Alabama State Legislature, will relieve the overwhelmed federal VA healthcare system and provide the specially tailored care that veterans need.
Paid for by the Alabama Council of Chapters Military Officers Association of America, Mobile.
The Rich Thomas Weather Network is brought to you by Earnest Financial.
If you're tired of losing your money in the stock market, call David Earnest, 334-279-7431. Earnest Financial, LLC.
Hi, everybody. Our late season cold snap continues. Today's temperature is way below normal with sunshine and a high temperature only about 59. I think we'll fall back to the 30s tonight with mostly clear skies and an overnight low temperature down to about 37. Some more frost in the morning. Not quite as cool Wednesday with a high near 70. We'll be in the low 70s Thursday with more sun and the next risk of scattered showers returning Thursday night into Friday. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
We're redesigning financial freedom at CB&S Bank. Make purchases at participating stores and restaurants using your CB&S Bank debit card through your mobile devices with Mobile Wallet. Charges and fees may apply for your cellular service provider. Contact your service provider for more information. Member FDIC.
Make 2024 the year you break away from the chain stores and join us here at Adams Drugs. We value your business and want to provide you the best customer service at the lowest possible price. We've been serving up excellent customer service here in the River region for over 62 years.
I made the swap to Adams Drugs and I couldn't be happier. Having a job and then getting 3 kids to all of their activities keeps me busy. I don't have an hour to waste waiting on a prescription. At Adams, they know me and my family. I get in and out in minutes, and when I can't get by Adams, they'll bring the prescription right to my door.
What are you waiting for? Come in to Adams Drugs and let us earn your business. Our friendly and personal staff will talk with you and answer any questions you may have about your prescriptions. Your satisfaction is our #1 goal. Visit us at adamsdrugs.net for the location nearest to you. Adams Drugs is your local independent Health Mart pharmacy. Health Mart, taking the time to listen and care.
In Alabama, more than 200,000 of our friends and neighbors are living without health coverage. Often folks can't stay healthy enough to keep their jobs. We need to fix this. Contact Governor Kay Ivey and let her know. Now is the time to close the coverage gap and cover Alabama.
Paid for by the American Cancer Society Cancer Action Network.
On FM, on your smartphone, and online, the River Region's most trusted voice. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back to News and Views in the afternoon. We also have Ray Bowles here in the studio. It's not just me. Continuing the story here, he is, of course, now chairman of the board there over the Prattville Public Library. And where we left off is kind of the response from the community, right?
Correct. And so I want to talk to the churches for a second and the pastors. I've talked to a lot of different pastors, and I get the same response from everybody. Oh, we can't get involved. Why not? Well, we just can't because we don't want to offend anybody. And my response is, this ain't about anybody but protecting children. Now, when Gideon went to war, he had 300 men behind him. Right now, I have just a handful of people behind me. And I mentioned the other day, a little bit ago, about the arrows.
Mm-hmm.
There's only been one that actually struck me and really hurt. And it's from the churches and their response. And they're not willing to stand up and call sin, sin. And that we should not allow pornography in the child's hands, because even the movie industry doesn't allow kids to go and watch R-rated movies. The states won't let kids under 21 drink alcohol. Our society has ages for everything, except for books for some ungodly reason. But if you are for this and you say, okay, we need to move these books, we're not going to ban anything, but we do need to move them. I ask you to be at City Hall tonight at 6 o'clock. You go in there peacefully and quietly, not one word. I don't want anybody talking. Don't sign up to talk. I have to introduce the new lady. And after I get done, I'm going to ask the question, who's for this board? And you raise your hands. And then we will leave. Quietly. No screaming, no hollering, no calling to somebody's Google account trying to shut them down. We're not going to attack anybody. But as decent human beings, we've got to stand up. That's how we've got this far with this situation, is because good people will not stand up because they do not want to be attacked. And I have to say that it has been an all-out attack like I could have never, ever dreamed of. And I'm really praying for our community. I'm praying for our library and our staff. But we've got to get this community on the same page and get these books moved and get this thing back on track. We will get this thing staffed quickly. And they said an article about we don't have enough hours. We're fixing that immediately. So we will have enough hours to keep our funding. So we're not going to lose any of our funding. and everybody's working very, very hard for this library. And I have to say thank you for all the volunteers that have been coming down there and helping out. It would not stay open without you guys. And I really appreciate that.
And it sounds to me that like there are a lot of outside sources trying to push, and even before you showed up, that this became an issue for, say, some at a national level where, okay, if you're going to question the books there at all, we're going to fight back with our abilities, our money, our
Yes.
national
And
stuff.
this is not about, don't make no mistake, it's not about the Prattville Talker County Library. It's about every library in the state is why this fight's going on. Unfortunately and fortunately at the same time, we're at the forefront of this fight. And really, we're at the forefront of this fight for the country. So I'm fighting for the soul of this Prattville. I'm fighting for the soul of Watauga County, Alabama, and this country. Because sometimes you've just got to pick up the sword and stand up. And I wish more men and women would do it.
Now, we have a call here from Adam. I think he wants to challenge you on some of the things you said.
Oh, yeah, he's one of the ones that went after my Google account, my family, he went after my son-in-law, he went after my daughter and my granddaughter. Good job, Adam. You've never talked to me in person. Would you meet me at Prattville Carpet? I'll be glad to sit down and talk to you, son. Nothing? Adam?
All right, so we do not support censorship. My son deserves to see books in the library that represent his family. And we need people like Ray Bowles in the library forcing librarians to do things that are against the library to leave. Ray Bowles is a crock of crap.
Adam, did you hear the beginning of this interview?
Why haven't they went and trained with the APLS? They have no idea how to run a library at all. Laura Clark is a fake lawyer.
Okay, Adam, is there anything you want to particularly talk about, or are you just going to call people names?
Also, I mean, hasn't Ray Bowles done that this whole time?
No, he hasn't.
He needs to be put on a leash.
Adam, you know where my office is. You know where you can walk in that door at any point in time and sit down, and I will have an actual conversation with you. But all you do is get behind a keyboard and attack people. But you will not be a man and come down and sit with me and talk with me.
You haven't tried to talk to anybody.
Why don't you come and actually have a conversation
other than
with
clean
me?
up Alabama?
I invite any of y'all to come in and have a actual conversation. But y'all
Well,
won't.
then let's schedule a meeting, Ray. Let's schedule a
Okay,
meeting.
right now. When? Let's do it tomorrow.
What time tomorrow?
I've got to run to Auburn, measure 3 jobs. I'll be back. I'm going to take Angie to lunch. And then after that, we can sit down and talk. And it will be in the office, so we have people around, and you'll be in a safe environment.
Let me see what time I have to work. I will call you at the library tomorrow and
You can call
and
me.
let you know.
Hey, get my cell phone number. You got a pen?
I don't want your cell phone number, Ray.
Okay. But I would love nothing more than to actually sit down and let's have a civil conversation about this. That's what I've been after the whole time, is to have a
You
civil
haven't reached out
conversation.
to anybody to have a civil conversation. You took over the library. You put in
Took over?
policies
Weren't
that
you
affect
elected?
my right.
Wasn't he
It's the Ray
elected?
Bowles show. This is what this is. You have puppets doing your work. It's clearly obvious.
Well, Adam, I've never really talked to you, but I can see what Ray's been dealing with now.
Yeah, and I'm glad that I'm allowed to say what I want to say about the situation.
Mhm.
We deserve to be represented in a public library. There's no pornography in the children's library, and there never has been.
So you're saying books that describe, I don't know how to say the word, I'm fixing to get beat, but blowjobs.
And
talk
where
about
was that in the children's library?
That is in the teen section, the one that's
Okay,
the
that is not the children's library. The children's library is completely separated from
I
the
look at
regular library.
anybody under 17, just like they do with selling movies and cigarettes, as being a child. That's why you have special courts for
And
people 17 years and under, and they don't send them to a federal prison with grown men.
And do you buy those videos or let your children watch those videos? No, because you have control over your own children.
And that's why
Parent
we want to put
your
them in
own children.
And that's why we want to put them in the adult section so you can check them out for your children.
They're fine where they are. Like I said, there's no pornography
Because
in the
you
children's
want
section of the
kids to
library.
get a hold of them. Why is that?
Because everybody should deserve free access
So
to
children
knowledge
should
in
be
a
able to
library.
read stuff like that. That's what you're saying. without the parents' consent.
The parents should be able to make the choice if their children read it or not. Yes,
Yes, absolutely, and that's what we're at.
and they have that choice.
They do. It'll be in the
They
adult
already
section.
have that choice.
And it'll be parents' choice because it'll be there for the parents to grab.
Before you guys decided to move it to the adult section, they had that choice.
Well, they'll still have the choice. It'll be in the adult section. We'll agree to disagree. Thank you.
Well, and I'm out of time for this hour, and I appreciate your time, Ray.
And I've got about 13 more things to do, so you can do the ad later.
Okay, I
All
will.
right. Thank you, guys.
And stay tuned, especially Adam. We have Coach Tommy Tuberville on. I'm sure y'all would love to hear from him. More news and views in the afternoon after this.
Broadcasting from the Riverside Chevrolet Master Control Center, this is WACV Cusada, News Talk 93.1 FM. When it's Chevy, it's Riverside.
With SRN News, I'm John Scott, a California legislator backed by former President Trump, and a sheriff who promises to harden the nation's borders, are facing off in a special U.S. House election. State Assembly member Vince Fong and Tulare County Sheriff Mike Boudreau are both Republicans. They're vying to complete the remaining term of ousted former Speaker Kevin McCarthy. President Biden embarking on a 3-day campaign swing this week in the Sun Belt. It's geared largely toward courting the Latino voters. A 78-year-old woman has been arrested in connection with a fatal crash at a San Francisco bus stop that killed 2 adults and a child and injured an infant who remains hospitalized. Jail records show Mary Fong Lau was booked into jail on Sunday. The Dow had 256 points, the NASDAQ adding 48. This is SRN News.
Our government has engorged itself on borrowed money. Now we are over $30 trillion in debt. If this bubble finally implodes, many Americans would be left penniless and heartbroken. For example, what happens if state and federal pension funds go broke? Or if 401ks and IRAs get cut in half due to hyperinflation? Hi, I'm Lance Wallnow, news analyst, best-selling author, and evangelical leader to millions of people just like you. People who understand something big is coming. Now's the time to prepare with a physical gold IRA from Birch Gold Group. Precious metals are among the most proven hedges you can make. And they're even better inside a tax advantage account. To get a free info kit on gold IRAs, text the word FAITH, F-A-I-T-H, to 989898. Birch Gold Group is the only gold company I trust. Get their free info kit and see why a gold IRA can help you. There are no strings attached, so just text FAITH to the number 989898 right now, and I pray you are blessed with continued prosperity.
Rich Thomas Weather, a service of Wiley Sanders Truck Lines, where dump truck drivers are in demand. Wiley Sanders is on the grow. We need dump truck drivers now. Call 855-77-9785.
Rich Thomas Weather. Hi, everybody. Our late season cold snap continues. Today's temperature's way below normal with sunshine and a high temperature only about 59. I think we'll fall back to the 30s tonight with mostly clear skies and an overnight low temperature down to about 37. Some more frost in the morning. Not quite as cool Wednesday with a high near 70. We'll be in the low 70s Thursday with more sun and the next risk of scattered showers returning Thursday night into Friday. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
At ASE Credit Union, financing your next adventure is easier than ever with rates as low as 5.25%. Apply online or visit your local branch today. Federally insured by the NCUA, Equal Opportunity Lender.
ASE Credit Union, your life, your goals, your ASE.
From the Blue Water Broadcasting News Center, here's today's top stories. Alabama is another step closer to having a state lottery. The House passed a gambling bill, but state senators took out sports betting and table games, leaving just the lottery standing alone. Now, this revised bill is headed back to the House. If the bill passes, it will be put on the ballot in September. The longest-serving member of the Alabama House of Representatives has resigned from the legislature after pleading guilty to federal conspiracy and obstruction of justice charges. 83-year-old John Rogers diverted money in a kickback scheme from funds intended to pay for community projects in Jefferson County. An opening date of March 27th has been set for the new Freedom Monument Sculpture Park in Montgomery. The 17-acre site on the banks of the Alabama River will combine historical artifacts, original research, and first-person narrative that explores the institution and legacy of slavery in this country. From the Blue Water Broadcasting News Center, I'm Sky Mosley.
This hour of news and views is brought to you by our good friends at Alabama Home Mortgage. Alabama Home Mortgage, 567-4223. Visit them on the web at myalabamahomemortgage.com. NMLS number 1586368. An equal housing lender.
The Tears family has been your local Roto-Rooter service since 1964. Drain cleaning, plumbing repair, and those troublesome septic tanks, no problem. Technology has changed a bit in the last 54 years. Video inspections of lines to locate problems is available, as well as scheduling your appointment online. River Region residents have trusted Roto-Rooter for over half a century. You can too. Call today at 272-7130 or visit online at rotorooteralabama.com.
Call Roto-Rooter, that's the name. And legal troubles down the drain. Roto-Rooter.
The views and opinions of the following program are solely those of the host and other contributors. These do not necessarily represent those of Liberty Acquisitions 825, Blue Water Broadcasting, its management, staff, or any advertisers.
Drop that down a little bit more. No, this thing.
It's time for Montgomery's conversational radio show. It's news and views on News Talk 93.1 FM. To join the conversation, call 272-9228.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back to News and Views in the afternoon. Busy show today, and now, as promised, we have over the stream Coach Tommy Tuberville. Coach, how you doing today, sir?
War Eagle, I see you had on there, Joy.
War Eagle. I had some bammer when I'm trying to help my grandfather this morning go, you got the wrong hat on. I'm like, not today, ma'am. Not today. I don't need that.
There are 6 teams in the state that's going to the NCAA, men and women. That's unbelievable. That's great. And I just hope, with all this NIL going on, that we continue to have a March Madness, because I'll tell you, it's under attack. People don't realize the direction that this country is headed in a lot of ways, including college athletics, college sports, women's sports, with all this transgenderism going on. I'm concerned more about our country right now, but all these things around it are just making life miserable for everybody. But good luck in the March Madness.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to. Auburn should have got a better seeding, but that's a whole other conversation there. Now, you got in trouble with the media, or more, they had a meltdown, reacting to, I believe, a speech you gave in Utah, talking about how we're giving in, our kids in particular, to a satanic cult. What do you mean by that?
Oh, there's no doubt. And people up here are afraid to call it out. But you know me, I don't care. I didn't come up here to make friends. I mean, this country's in bad trouble. We're on. We used to be within a trickle of how this country was going downhill. Now we're in a tsunami. I mean, we're right on the edge of this country losing everything that our forefathers have built. But what happened is I went out and campaigned with Trent Staggs, the guy that's running as a Republican to try to take over Mitt Romney's seat. And he's a huge American, loves the country. And I had a couple of questions. Where do you think this country is going, Senator, with all the things you're seeing? I said, well, I see the direction that this country is going because it's being controlled by satanic cult. And, here's the reason. Wokeism, it's more than just an opinion. It's like a religion for these people up here. And it's an obsession. It's not the religion of Bible. We've read the Bible, but, Churchill, for instance, says socialism is the gospel of the envy. And all the left has done, everything they've done since I've been up here, they've done to destroy everything our forefathers have built. You just look at the cities, Baltimore and Detroit, the things that are going on in our schools, the young kids that are being transitioned at 4 and 5 and 6 year old, major surgeries that the Democrats are pushing, the drugs that they're pushing across our country. Nobody goes to jail anymore. Very few even pay bond unless you're President Trump. And then, they're politicizing our military. And I'm on armed services, and I'm going to tell you what's going to happen is they're going to get a military that only is controlled by the far left, not just for Americans. So liberalism, you cannot build, but you can destroy everything around it. And it's just, unfortunately, and unfortunate what I've seen up here, Joy. It's again, it's a sad state of affairs, and unless we get our moral values back in this country, we won't make it. And and that's what I mean. Yeah, it's a cult. I mean, these people are a cult.
And, the first, I guess, promise whispered to Eve by the serpent was you can be like gods. And, I try to be humble about this. I think the one thing I know for certain is I am not God, and I don't see anybody else who is. But, the question of bringing up God and religion, have you tried to bring that up in the halls there in Washington, D.C.? And what's usually the reception that one would get if we say, hey, let's say a prayer here about this?
Crickets. You get crickets from the Democrats. I've had several bills that talk about certain things that had to do with right and wrong in this country. For instance, the very first bill I had up here was transgenders playing in women's sports and dressing in the same dressing rooms, taking showers, men and boys taking showers with women. I put it on the floor, and not one Democrat voted for it. Not one voted against me. And it just shows you they don't care about what's going on. They care about party line. Everybody fall in line like a bunch of ducks and just, hey, vote for this, and we'll take over not just the Republican Party, run them out of town. We'll take over the whole country. And I'm telling you, they have got a foot in the door of good versus evil. And, this is not policy agreements up here, Joy. This is a war of good versus evil. Exactly what I was talking about this satanic cult.
Now, in news today, I guess one of the reporters for CNN found you in the hallway and asked you about our junior senator, Katie Britt, and how she did at the State of the Union. Let me just ask you again, what did you think, and what happened that night, and the reaction we've seen in the last week or so?
Yeah, I mean, again, she's been attacked by the far left and even some of the far right. The problem is, it's almost an impossible job, okay? She did a good job. She had the material right. She had everything going. She practiced it well. She got it over very well. And as I tell people, even I get sometimes up here because I love this country so much. I love what our forefathers. You get emotional about it, and you should. I mean, we had better start shedding tears for what's going on by this Democratic Party, Socialist Party, and tearing our country down from everything. I mean, there's not one thing that this group has done right since they've taken over. They have actually done things to destroy the country you and I live in. And Katie tried to get that over, but it's hard to do that in 15 minutes. But I thought she did a good job. And somebody said, well, you said she was emotional. Well, damn right. Hey, I'm emotional. And I'm going to start crying on every TV channel if I continue to see this the way this is going, because we are losing it. We're losing our country every day. And if these people hold on to the House, the Senate, and the White House for another 4 years, we won't make it as a country you and I know. Now, I tell people this, Joy, since I've been here, I'm a Republican, but this is not a Republican-Democrat situation.
Right.
This is either you're an American and you love this country the way it is and you want it to prosper with freedoms and a constitution, or you're anti-American and you want to change it to socialism, communism, everything goes along with that, take away the rights from people and give power to one group, having one party system. And folks, you don't want that. You do not want it. So that's what's going on up here. And again, hey, Katie that was impossible because Joe Biden got up there and I think he drank a case of Red Bull before he walked on stage, because I'm about 20 feet from him and I can't understand what he's saying early because he's talking or he's reading so fast. He read his speech off the teleprompter but that was just impossible. If they'd have put somebody on there that even anybody, it would have been hard to do what Katie did. But again, I thought she held her own. And again, I was proud of her. And I think everybody in the state's proud of her.
Yeah, and I think my suspicion with Biden was he had a bump of something. Something was going on there. Some upper was given to Pop. And just to underline the point with Senator Britt, since the first day I met her on my talk radio show, she has been that way. Like, she gets passionate. Like, she smacks the desk in here more than I've seen you do it. So that's just how she is, right?
That's exactly right. I mean, you're going to get different adjectives from different people and a different performance if you did that. If they did me, I'd have been about the same way. I'm telling you, every day I come up here and I listen to how these crazies talk about what they're trying to do. This is like this budget we're getting ready to do. There's nothing in there about pro-life. There's nothing in there about stopping this immigration disaster invasion that we're having right now. It's more about giving more money to Ukraine for some ungodly reason. They've already lost the war. All this is a money funneling situation, and all the things going on with drugs and the police. I mean, this is a giveaway to this climate hoax. I mean, nothing for the direction of the country to stop this madness and get it back under control. Educate our number one commodity, which is our kids. Get the Bible and get our family back in it. Quit trying to separate people from every gender in the world. We got 64 genders in California. Go figure that. So we have a disaster on our hands, and I hope people recognize it. Of course, a lot of people are Republicans, but and I'll probably be the same way. I'd say, I'm going to listen to it a little bit at nightly news, and then for the next 23 hours, I don't worry about it, folks. It's time to worry, because I want you to watch what happens in the next 8 months before this election. They're trying to put Trump into jail. They're trying to handcuff the people around him. They're going to do everything they can to do what they did in the 2020 election, is take about 5 states and load up the voting machines. Exactly what they did. I've seen everybody say, well, you're a voter conspiracist. No, I'm not. I'm a realist. I saw what happened. There's no way that this idiot in the White House could have got 81 million votes, and when he didn't campaign. So there's going to be a lot of shenanigans between now and November. We just got to keep our head to ourselves. We got to look forward. We got to tell people to vote. We got to vote early if you got a chance to vote early, like some of these states. But we've got to take back our country, Joy. We're not going to have another chance. 4 more years of this debacle, we'll go under.
Yeah, and either way, I think it's going to be a bloodbath, which is just that example of that news cycle. Trump using the term bloodbath. All of a sudden, he's a dictator that wants rivers of blood in the streets. This is how absurd I think it's going to get, and why every time I see some hit piece against you, whether from state media or the nationals, I just kind of chuckle at it. So I appreciate the work you're doing, because I know where you stand. And honestly, with a lot of folks up there, it's hard to pin them down to where they stand. You're clear as day, sir, and I appreciate that.
Well, I appreciate it. And you've got some whack jobs there in the state I think they write these news articles. They don't have a clue what's going on. They really don't. They're trying to make money, and they try to take a side. But folks, you better don't take a side of a Republican, Democrat for the next 8 months. Take the side of America. Open your eyes, see what's going on, because we are under attack from the crazies up here, and we've got to get them out of here and take back over and get our country going in the right direction. But as you said, this bloodbath deal, I hear it every week from both sides. I mean, that's exactly what's going on, but that wasn't a bloodbath in terms of fighting from Trump. It was about our car manufacturers. And I've told our manufacturers in the state, you keep making these EV cars, we're going to have to bail you out, because they're not going to sell. And sure enough, look what's happening. They're starting to cut back on production of EV cars, and eventually that might happen, which is fine. But Joe Biden's trying to ram it down everybody's throat, and this climate hoax is nothing but a money grab.
Well, I think we're out of time here, but I appreciate your time as always, Coach. And again, anytime you're in Montgomery, feel free to stop by. Open door policy as far as I'm concerned.
You got it. Thank you, Joy. God bless.
Sir. God bless. Again, folks, that's Coach Tommy Tuberville. Always appreciate him being on the program. This part of News and Views brought to you by Bo Goodson and the Goodson Group. And they're at the Goodson Group. Well, Bo and his team are ready to help you, whether you're looking to buy or sell a home here in the River Region real estate market. Bo's been helping buyers and sellers here in Montgomery and the surrounding areas for over 4 decades. Actually, it's getting close to 5, almost 50 years of helping folks around here. That means Bo really knows what he's doing, and not only can he help you with buying and selling property, they have management services there at the Goodson Group should you want to rent out your home, which is a great idea in this market. But being your own landlord can kind of be a pain in the butt. Why not, for a reasonable fee, have the Goodson Group manage that rental for you? And then the crown jewel there at the Goodson Group is the Bo Goodson Real Estate School, one that was highly acclaimed here in the great state of Alabama because of, well, Bo's experience. And he doesn't let you just sit there like a bump on the log in the middle of the class. No, when you show up on a Thursday night, Bo's going to be getting you involved. It's a very interactive course, and he's been through it all over 40 years. The good, the bad, and the ugly, you can learn a lot from him. That's why there have been so many folks that have graduated from the Bo Goodson Group and gone on to great success as fully licensed realtors or as more knowledgeable private players. So check out the Goodson Group today. You can always call them at 551-0225. That's 551-0225. Bo Goodson and the Goodson Group. Great sponsor here of News and Views in the afternoon. Hey, what the heck? Let's go to line one. You're on the air. Who's this?
Red Top.
Hey, Red Top. How you doing?
That was a great interview, and damn, Coach, it's tough. I'm glad to hear somebody say they didn't go up there to make no friends, because that's the kind of attitude somebody needs to go up there, although they don't like him very much. It's not a friendly attitude, they tell you.
Right.
Too bad. Too bad. I don't give a damn either. And
well, I know that about you, for sure.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, Joey, you're headed my way, because once you get my age, you ain't going to give a damn either. I'll promise you that. Let me tell you some of the crazy stuff I saw on TV. NTD News and Newsmax both were covering this. The tourism burglary. That's what this new concept's called, and it's especially for Chilean gangs from South America. They're coming up here for the purpose of robbery. And what they do is they cross the border and throw the passport down. They get taken to New York. They steal a bunch of stuff. They have the gang members waiting for them on mopeds. This moped swiping scheme is big in South America, so it's just coming here. And when they get caught, they get automatically released. They get their gang money, and they go to Florida and spend the money. And so they started to do some of this stuff in Florida, and they have quit because Governor DeSantis has decided they go straight to jail, and they don't get bonds. So they ain't doing it there no more. But in New York, how stupid the New Yorkers are, or actually they know exactly what they're doing. They were giving away mopeds by the hundred up till last week. So
yeah, it is a mess. It's an absolute mess. And when you see some of the Latin American countries having their crime rates drop, because I think they're not sending their best, as Trump said when he first started to run in 2016. My heart breaks for the folks that are just trying to escape and try to make a better life for themselves. But we've created a corridor of drugs, addiction, depravity, and death. And we're letting some of the worst people on the planet prosper because of this open border.
You know, what blows my mind is these scumbags didn't impeach Mayorkas, and there's got to be a law against it.
Yeah, but what good is it going to do, because you got the Senate that's 50-50, so an impeachment doesn't go anywhere.
This is a disgrace, damn it. I mean, these guys can flaunt the law just like Ketanji Brown Jackson in her statements were literally scary. And Brett Kavanaugh, he needs to come to Montgomery. Let's have a come to Jesus moment with this dude.
Well, I appreciate it, Red Top.
Roll Tide, go Trump, and I wasn't going to say that to Coach Tuberville.
Yeah, War Eagle back at you. Let's go to line 4. You're on there. Who's this?
Hey, man.
Hey, Randall, how you doing?
Man, another one. Like you said, bro.
Another one?
Yeah, another one. Like, what's all nothing in Florida to say? Another one. Oh, but I do got a question you can ask him next time. Why would he want us to vote early? Because that's the way they're going to know how many votes they need to beat us. So do not vote early. Like, wait till the last minute. That's going to make it harder for them to cheat just like they did. That's how he got them 80 million votes. I mean, I don't understand why he would want us to vote early. I mean, that's wrong.
No, I think it's playing the game by the rules of the road. Now,
yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say that in Alabama, it's not that much of an issue. We know who's going to win the presidency here in Alabama. But when you look at these particular battleground states, Georgia definitely comes to mind, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and a few others. Arizona, though, might be a lost cause. But, yeah, in those particular states, it's time to play ball. Whatever the rules are, you have to exploit them to the hilt.
I understand. Help me understand the rules then. If you're going to vote more than one time, yeah, vote early. But if you're only going to vote once, then you vote at the last minute on this them changing the vote. So
yeah, but it might be good to bank those votes. If you have the opportunity to say vote early, say 2 weeks early, and you know that something might come up on Election Day, unless you're certain you can get to the polls on Election Day, it might be wise to go ahead and bank that vote. Then you saw it in that Arizona race where certain they didn't have enough ballots or certain precincts weren't working. I'm talking about this last 2022 cycle with Kerry Lake and Blake Masters, for instance, in Arizona. So I think it's particular to each state. Strategists that are much smarter and are paid a hell of a lot more than me are supposed to be responsible for these efforts. And again, you got to play by the rules of the road. I've been saying since 2020, they stole it fair and square, and you got to steal it right back fair and square. You got to play ball, hard ball with these folks.
I don't say that. Well, I don't say something about Katie Britt, but what Red Tot just brought up, it's a little more down home than that. If you look up Kenneth or look up Michelle Mack, because they got her as the leader, but Michelle and Kenneth Mack, they paid all these gangs, so you call it, to do all these robberies, man. And it's coming home, and these people are telling them, because you could rent somebody's mouth to be shut. You can't buy it. So unless you're going to keep paying these kids that you paid, they fixing to go to prison. I mean, we're talking about $8 million worth of just cosmetic that they've caught them with, and it's a little more down home than what we're at about. It's Michelle. Just check them out. Michelle Mack. She is evil as it all comes. And I gotta say, man, they kind of, everybody is kind of kissing Katie Britt's ring, brother. I don't know, but I love her to death, but that scares me more than
Oh, come on, man. I know you be kissing that ring. As soon as you walk, you get down on one knee.
I know, man, but it's kind of funny that people, even he said, he's saying I said she was emotional. Well, the tone he said it in means a lot more than what he just said on radio, because the tone he said it in was kind of like what you said when you had 100 against. You know what I mean? You had to, it was when you went back. So I don't know, man. It's just, and then Donald Trump, man, him having to change his vote and jump on her bandwagon. I thought he was putting her in play, but it's almost like that he had to kiss her ring. I don't know, man. It don't make sense. Donald Trump had to do the same thing, though.
Yeah.
And here is our famed senator doing the same thing. He's going back on what he said first. Me wasn't into it. You was. I was just saying he was opposite, but.
Yeah, I'll say, Randall, with a lot of these responses, well, it's what I wrote about. It wasn't just, I'm drunk up there with friends in Boston watching it. It was, I think these ceremonies, this theater, the pageantry, it's kind of played out. I think if you try to be incredibly sincere on the national stage, you will be eaten alive by people on the right and the left. And it's just a terrible time we're at in this nation where so many of the traditions and values and symbols and signs we used to hang our hat on and rely on, they've gone by the wayside. And if they're still there, they're just paper thin now, like a movie set that's about to be knocked over. So it's almost like it's a time to rebuild America. And we'll see. We'll see where it goes.
I love it. I love that, baby. Joy is like, hey, forget taking care of the house. It's time to knock down the walls outside, baby. I hear you. All right. Love you, bro. We'll see.
Appreciate it, Randall. 272-9228. This is part of the program brought to you by James Cole and Cole Plumbing. First off, James Cole, fantastic guy. But they're at Cole Plumbing. They can help you with all of your plumbing problems, from everyday issues like low water pressure or a clogged drain, maybe even tree root invasion. They can even do work on something like a gas line leak, or maybe your sump pump in the basement is not pumping water out of the basement when it rains. Again, Cole Plumbing has your back in that regard. Of course, they can also help you with emergency jobs. So if you have a burst pipe inside or outside your home, they have this proprietary pipelining technology that allows them with minimal discomfort to you and your home to get in there and solve the problem. It means they're not going to have to tear out a bunch of drywall, dig up a huge hole. No, with precision and expertise, they'll get that job done. And then at Cole Plumbing, maybe you don't really have a problem, but you want them to help you upgrade. To say a taller toilet. Maybe you're getting older and your knees, your hips ain't working like they used to. Well, wouldn't you like a taller toilet so it's easier to get up and down, so to speak? Maybe you want a tankless water heater system, so you don't even have to deal with a water heater anymore. Or it could be you want to get fancy and install a bidet. Cole Plumbing has your back. That number, 279-8919. That's 279-8919. And just remember, folks, when you have trouble with your bowl, call on Cole. More news and views in the afternoon after this.
He may not know whether he's coming or going, But whether you're going to work or coming home, Greg Budell is there. Mornings 6 till 9 and afternoons 3 till 6. Only on News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
If you're new to Medicare, the ins and outs can be complicated. At Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Alabama, our local advisors are here to help answer your questions, and we're here to help you find a Medicare plan that fits your needs. Visit bcbsalmedicare.com or call 1-844-627-5612. Now, Medicare, that's focused on you. Blue Advantage is a PPO with a Medicare contract. Enrollment in Blue Advantage PPO depends on contract renewal.
What's your biggest investment? More than likely, it's your home. So treat it that way when you hire a painting contractor. At PBS Painting, there are no gimmicks, no $99 specials. Just quality painting and someone who treats your home with the same respect that you do. At PBS Painting, we have been painting for years and look forward to many more years to come. With PBS Painting, the job gets prepped properly, whether it's cleaning, scraping, or priming. We always use quality products, which is a must for a quality paint job. So if you're looking for a painter that doesn't need upfront money and is on the job at all times, then please give me a call. Scott Bowers and PBS Painting, 294-5122. That's PBS Painting, 294-5122. Look at some of our work on Facebook at PBS Painting Montgomery.
Hello, this is Colonel Patrick Downing, U.S. Army retired, on behalf of the nearly 400,000 veterans in Alabama, urging the passage of the Veterans Access to Care Bill to give veterans and their families better access to health care specifically tailored to their needs. Our veterans have done so much for us. Now it's time to do what we can for them by providing a state-run healthcare system just for veterans and their families.
Paid for by the Alabama Council of Chapters Military Officers Association of America, Mobile.
Are you tired of the mainstream media's biased reporting? Do you want to stay informed on the news that really matters to you? Look no further than 1819 News. At 1819 News, we bring you the latest in Alabama news, politics, sports, culture, and more. We've assembled a team of journalists with Alabama values dedicated to the truth and the truth alone. Visit us at 1819news.com today. That's 1819news.com. Subscribe to our newsletter. Honest News, Alabama Values. This hour of news and views is brought to you by our good friends at Alabama Home Mortgage. Alabama Home Mortgage, 567-4223. Visit them on the web at myalabamahomemortgage.com. NMLS number 1586368. An equal housing lender.
When news happens, you'll hear about it first. The River Region's most trusted voice. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back to News and Views in the afternoon. 272-9228. If you want to get in on the program, that's 272-9228. And so much to get to today, but in particular, the one that has me nervous is what we talked about with Judge Knapp about Ketanji Brown Jackson suggesting the First Amendment hamstringing, the federal government is, that we can't have that when we're in an environment of misinformation and harmful information out there. And to have somebody like Brett Kavanaugh and John Roberts essentially agreeing with that, really frustrating to see. I think actually Gorsuch was pretty damn good as a pick by President Trump. We'll see on Amy Coney Barrett. Seems pretty solid, but we'll see with her. But when it comes to Brett Kavanaugh, I know there were a lot of fireworks because of all the rape accusations. Pardon me. And all the hysterics, histrionics, all the theater that was there when Kavanaugh was going through the advise and consent portion of the process in the Senate. But dadgum, Brett Kavanaugh is a creature of Washington, D.C. And that's the unfortunate thing. It doesn't matter if somebody is supposedly a Republican or a member of the Federalist Society, or if they're on the left. and, ready to go with social justice. So many of them, when push comes to shove, defend the government before they will ever defend your liberty. Maybe it was a mistake to let a bunch of robed lawyers decide what your rights may or may not be. Maybe it was a mistake to send a bunch of people up there through popularity contests to decide what your rights may or may not be. Because even when you have it written for hundreds of years, right there, Congress shall not abridge, they do it anyway. They come up with legal excuses after legal excuse to take away your liberty and your rights. Now, does the right take away liberty and rights and wealth? Yes. Does the left do the same? Yes. This is why I think the best government would be local. But as we see in today's day and age, not even a local public library is actually local. Everything is subject to the national megaphone. Everything is subject, whether you're talking a library, a school board. Hell, I'm sure if I went after the cosmology board in this state, there'd be some national group ready to throw people under the bus because of that. Don't get me started on the teachers' unions. But it seems like nothing is local anymore. Everything is national. Heck, when we had a local election to re-elect Mayor Stephen Reed, that wasn't even about local politics. It was all about Donald Trump coming to town. To Mayor Reed's credit, it worked, and he got re-elected. So I can't necessarily begrudge a practical, clever politician, whether on the left or the right, for doing what they need to do to win. But that seems to be the problem, ain't it? That we do whatever we need to do to win. It's this iterative process, a give and take, our so-called ideals, the so-called cornerstone of our society, be damned. We can pick up the pieces later. We're in an emergency right now. It's really frustrating to see. So what I would pray for, and I mean it seriously, pray for anybody who knows me, that's not an easy thing for me to say. I continue to wrestle with what the hell I actually believe, pardon me. But it ain't easy. And I tried not to take it lightly or claim I know anything more than anybody else. But what we need to pray for, if we're going to pray at all, is for a little bit of humility for everyone, including that face in the mirror. Because right now, we're going in a direction that does not create more light, that does not create actual practical solutions that benefit the general welfare, but only a select few. And it seems like the art of conversation, with a few exceptions, has gone out the window. Honestly, the best conversations are folks who are nowhere damn near politics. And I mean that as somebody who constantly talks about politics on the public airwaves. Coming up, I found in American history a, unexpected source that prayed for humility around the formation of the Constitution that we no longer seem to follow. I'll share that when we come back. But first, this part of the program brought to you by Montgomery Men's Health. And there at Montgomery Men's Health, they're ready to help, you men out. It's right there in the name. Whether you have an issue like erectile dysfunction or other problems that might be bedeviling you there in the bedroom, or it could be you have low testosterone. Now, none of these things are something to deny, put off, to be ashamed or embarrassed about. It's not something to wait to get fixed. I know guys hate going to the doctor. I'm guilty. I don't like going to the doctor. But Montgomery Men's Health was created to take care of guys just like us. So if you notice you're lacking motivation, energy, drive, including sex drive, you're just always tired, mentally and physically, it feels like you're walking through life in a fog. And knowing whether you have low T is huge in combating some of these issues. Again, there are a lot of guys walking around, even young men, even some in their teens and 20s, walking around who feel like crap, who are experiencing these symptoms. They don't know it's low testosterone giving them that trouble. So what you need to do is make an appointment, and the providers of Montgomery Men's Health will conduct a testosterone-focused lab workup plus a consultation for only $99. And they have low T treatments there that can truly change lives. Men can experience higher energy, better gains in the gym, better mental clarity, improved sleep patterns, a faster metabolism. You usually even notice an increased libido. And you can actually book the same day that you call. Guys, It's time to feel amazing and hit your goals this year. That number, 440-3663. That's 440-3663. Or go to MontgomeryMen'sHealth.com to book your appointment today. And before the break, what the heck? Let's go to line 1. You're on there. Who's this?
You know, you keep talking about God, I'm going to have to tell the Monsignor on you.
Yeah, I know. I saw him this weekend. He knows. He knows.
He knows Chad, I'll tell you that.
How you doing, Chad?
I'm great, man. You guys, that's a pretty good little ranch you had going there, I thought.
Thank you.
It's a crazy world. I heard you interviewed Mr. Bowles today. Interesting. You there?
Yeah, I'm here. Now, his side of the story was fascinating, and I didn't have much of an opinion of the director or anything. After hearing that and seeing what he was saying on national TV last night, what a snake!
I think you're going to find out that there's another side to that story.
Okay.
I think you'll find it. I think you'll find out. Just stay tuned. Be open-minded. So, and maybe we can talk in the future about it.
Fair enough.
Well, what else is happening, Joey?
Well, the country's just doing great. Like economical. Wait. No, we're not doing that great.
I think it's a bloodbath.
Yeah, well,
Don't you?
I need to go take a cold shower now. You're getting me excited. Bloodbath? All right.
I think it's a bloodbath. Obviously, I loved it when I think it was Hannity and a couple of the others. Not to watch Hannity too often because all he does is repeat talking points. It's not very intellectually stimulating. But I did appreciate all of the replays of how many times the mainstream media and including the president, Biden himself, has used the word bloodbath.
Right.
It's only bad when Orange Man says it, right?
It's only bad when we frame it in the least charitable way to back up our other false framing. It just reinforces itself.
Probably the biggest sinner on that issue was the NBC or the ABC News story where they said after praising the January 6th revolution, he then threatened a bloodbath if he's not elected. I'm like, I mean, is it so bad that this is the false narrative you guys have? I mean, you're not going to talk about anything about Biden's record because you can't. There's nothing there. You can't. After the State of the Union address, that was as flat as what floating in a punch bowl. Because they sat there and told us what vigor he had, and then when NPR did a little interview of all these people, and they said all I saw was an angry old man yelling,
right?
Which is all I saw. I guess this is what it's gonna be like for the next 8 months, I suppose. Just lie after lie, misrepresentation after misrepresentation. And it's sad that the country has come to that. I mean, if Trump's so bad, then beat him based on honest disagreement.
Right.
Come out there. I mean, it's bad when the vice president flies to an abortion clinic for a photo op. I mean, what does that tell you about where their base is if she has to reach out to make sure they still have the pro-death people?
Yeah, it's like Canaanite family planning. Yes.
Yeah, right. Exactly right, man. It's like, hey, we're just going to put a little altar here to Moloch, and don't worry about us. It's a religious practice, I promise.
Well, and if you don't agree, you're such an anti-ballist. Why are you such an anti-ball is great, and all you Christians and Jews, all these folks, ball is the man. Like, I don't know. It's
no
silly.
kidding. That's exactly right. I guess the thing that really gets me is they want to talk about Trump supposedly making this about a violent overthrow and all that stuff. Last time I checked, they're the only party that's had people try to assassinate, people in a baseball game and tried to kill the guy on the family, the whole family research crowd with the Chick-fil-A sandwiches. Remember that routine?
Yeah.
All the riots, including Kamala, contributing to the bail fund for people who were criminals that tore up people's businesses and killed people. I mean, and you remember that during the inauguration, there were like 20-something people injured, Republicans who were going to an inaugural balls that got assaulted, right? Mm-hmm. And there were a bunch of arrests on that.
Yeah, Rand Paul especially. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember that in particular. I forgot about Rand Paul's situation. So I mean, it's like they project everything that they claim, Republicans or conservatives to be. But I think it's a very dangerous thing when they start labeling anybody who has a conservative Christian view as a Christian nationalist, as like this white supremacist, and everything is now, oh, well, we can't elect Trump because he's going to be a dictator. I'm like, how's he going to be a dictator if he's validly elected by, majority of the people and gets over 270 electoral?
And here's what they're doing, Chad. They try to create stereotypes for their opponents to then fulfill. Like, let's create a little box that says white nationalists or Christian nationalists. Let's create all these little Nazis. Let's create a stereotype, and we'll just demonize people to the point where those folks then play into those stereotypes. And it's like, guys, just break out of the binary. Like, you're an American. You don't have to be some radical in order to fight these folks.
Well, but the really dangerous thing about that is that, these people on the fringe who are loons, like the guy who shot up Steve Scalise and everything, they listen to that stuff. If you're mentally ill and you're getting a 24/7 screed on MSNBC about threats to democracy and about, Keith Olbermann, now saying, hey, maybe it'd be a good idea if we assassinated another president, so one of these guys is going to take one of these things seriously.
Yeah.
These are serious things. I mean, you and I can, brush that off as just being crazy, loon, exaggerated hate speech, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
But there's people out there that take this stuff very seriously, and they act upon it.
Well, it's unfortunate.
It's a miracle of God that nothing has happened to Trump. I mean, in the last 6 years, I can't believe nobody's tried to, injure the man. Of course, I'm sure they have, but I mean, you don't hear about all the threats and so forth. But it's when you start, they sit here and they talk about Trump using, the language of violence. I'm like, turn on MSNBC every day. I mean, when you call your opponent a Nazi and a hater and a white supremacist, you're basically, isn't that what we did with the Japanese during World War II? You have to basically dehumanize the other side.
Yeah, even Dr. Seuss.
Yeah, right. Dr. Seuss. I forgot about Dr. Seuss. So, anyway, that's my 2 cents for the day. I hope you guys have a great afternoon.
Great hearing from you, Chad. Really is. Thanks, sir.
All right, buddy. Take care.
We do have to hit this break. More news and views in the afternoon after this.
Want to carry News Talk in your pocket? Download the News Talk 93.1 app from the App Store. Available on iPhone and Android. Never miss a moment. Download now.
Healthwise Foods and Irwin Naturals has a huge comprehensive line of men's health products. Trouble with low T, low libido, or prostrate support? Check out Irwin Natural products like Testosterone Up, Prosta Strong, Horny Goat Weed, and more. Healthwise Foods and Irwin Naturals have healthy alternatives to help with these vital issues. Find Irwin Naturals at Healthwise Foods, family owned for over 36 years. Healthwise Foods, 5147 Atlanta Highway, open 7 days a week. Call 277-9925 or visit them on Facebook.
This is your roving reporter, and today I am talking with an elk. Hey man, Mr. Elk, I was just wondering, what do elk do to take care of their money? Well, like most smart folks, we call David Ernest. You mean Alabama's most favorite asset preservationist? That's him, man. We call him up at 334-279-7431 or 205-479-0839. I see. Yes, he is our preferred money man. The money man with the money plan. You've been paying attention. Well, could you give us those numbers one more time? 334-279-7431 or 205-479-0839. And I just want to try to give you a heads up, man. Oh, what's that? I'm not an elk. Not an elk, huh? Well, then, pray tell, what are you? Knights of Columbus. I am not even going to make a comment. Well, the baby liked it.
The Rich Thomas Weather Network, brought to you by Montgomery Paint and Body. From a little fender bender to total body repair, MPB will fix it good as new, maybe better. For over 35 years, the Turner family has been getting you back on the road. Call 279-7325.
Hi, everybody. Our late season cold snap continues. Today's temperature's way below normal with sunshine and a high temperature only about 59. I think we'll fall back to the 30s tonight with mostly clear skies and an overnight low temperature down to about 37. Some more frost in the morning. Not quite as cool Wednesday with a high near 70. We'll be in the low 70s Thursday with more sun and the next risk of scattered showers returning Thursday night into Friday. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
John Bobo with Capital Tractor. Got a lot of jobs to do this spring? Save now on Kubota's BX23S tractor loader and backhoe combo at Capital Tractor and check off that to-do list. Powering Alabama, Kubota and Capital Tractor, Montgomery, Brundage, and Greenville.
This hour of news and views is brought to you by our good friends at Alabama Home Mortgage. Alabama Home Mortgage, 567-4223. Visit them on the web at myalabamahomemortgage.com. NMLS number 1586368. An equal housing lender.
The Harriet 2 Riverboat has the perfect way to start your weekend each Friday with the Spring Dinner Cruise. Enjoy live entertainment as you dine on a delicious family-friendly dinner. Add your favorite beverage from the cash bar and dance the night away cruising the Alabama River. Get your family together and make it a family tradition. Boarding starts at 6:30 and cruise starts at 7. Book your cruise on the Harriet 2 now at funinmontgomery.com.
The premier place the river region turns to for news, weather, traffic, and opinion. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
This is how you conduct yourself in a democracy?
Joey Clark.
Welcome back. Appreciate all the love on the X platform, as well as Joey Clark Live on YouTube. Yes, that's Joey Clark Live on YouTube or at the Joey Clark on X if you want to watch the show. Also another great way to listen. And we have Paul that's called in. Hey, Paul, how you doing today?
Joey. I'm just riding down the road, southbound 331, riding 5 miles under the speed limit with the window rolled down, letting the wind blow through my long wavy hair. Just enjoying myself.
Sounds like a country song.
Show. Oh, wow. I didn't even think about all that. Let me write that down.
Yeah. We got this recorded. You can go back and listen to yourself.
Yeah. You ever notice how they like to call someone else what they're doing?
Yes.
And I do know that President Trump said he would be dictator for a day. I'm not going to try to impersonate him. I'm nowhere near about as good as what you are with it. You're good, boy. You're good. But seems like to me, ever since a certain person got in that office, he's been cramming himself down the public's throat just like a dictator would. And the term bloodbath seems to me, with that little bit that you played yesterday, is used quite freely to their advantage.
Yes. Well, this is what they do. It's all about framing a particular everyday words, pretty benign or normal political speak is now, raised to the level of he's the new Hitler and the new threat.
Well, anybody who knows anything about Hitler, in all reality, all they got to do is look at the history and look at what they've been doing, how they have been playing it, and how they've been pushing propaganda, because that's all it is propaganda. So with that being said, I took it upon myself this morning while I was sitting waiting to get loaded to look up the start of the Republican Party. And lo, the information that I read, what I did not know, I knew a little bit, but there was a lot that I did not know. People need to go look that up and read it for themselves.
Right.
They also need to look up the Constitution and read it for themselves. The Bill of Rights and read it for themselves. It's all right there. All you got to do is look it up. But that'd be too much like right. People don't want to know. They want to hear what somebody else has to say and put their opinion in, rather than what the word itself says.
Yep, and I think there are a lot of folks up there, professionals, very smart, clever people up there in D.C. that say, the Constitution, Bill of Rights, that's just stuff we tell school kids. We're not playing in the big leagues. You can't be that literal. I mean, there's always play in the joints for us to get our special thing done, and it's be practical. Face the necessities you need to face. It's just, I get being practical, but careful. Don't let that practicality and necessity turn you into a frickin' monster.
What are you talking about? They was a monster when they got there. All
Right.
they was waiting on was to get the power.
Yep, I think you're right. There are a lot of folks already corrupted. That's why they went for the job. Amen.
That's exactly right. And all you got to do to back all of that up is read the scripture and see what happened to people who turn their back on God himself. Now, I pray that it don't go that far. I pray that the people of this nation turn back to God. And I'm not going to get off in that for the simple fact there's a lot of people out there might be, that old boy ain't nothing but a Bible thumper. Yes, I am. But talk radio is just that. Talk radio is not a preaching platform.
Well, we do what we
Later,
can
my
here.
friend.
Thank you, Paul.
Yep.
272-9228. This entire hour brought to you by Alabama Home Mortgage. And they're at Alabama Home Mortgage. Kim Williams and her team, including the lovely and talented Madeline Cannon, well, they're ready to help you, whether you're looking to buy a home, especially if you're a first-time home buyer. But even if you're not a first-timer, maybe you want to work with somebody local, somebody you can trust, somebody who's going to get to know you, your goals in owning a home, and that is Alabama Home Mortgage. They can also help you with great refinance deals, whether you're looking to consolidate, pay off certain debts, especially credit card debts. What, average APR is like 28, 29% yearly? Woo! Yeah, that's not fun, especially if all you're doing is making minimal payments. Or it could be you want to reinvest in your property or your family. Or it could be they can do a special rate refinance for those of you who still have student loans hanging over your head. And don't forget that they are VA home loan certified. They know the latest with the VA home loan programs. So if you are a veteran, you need to call Alabama Home Mortgage. They can help you with buying through the VA or refinancing through the VA. It is the best game in town. These are benefits you earn through your service. Take advantage of them. Don't leave money on the table. That number for Alabama Home Mortgage, 567-4223. That's 567-4223. Or you can always visit them online at myalabamahomemortgage.com. There is a difference in mortgage companies. Let Kim and Madeline prove that to you today. MLS number 1586368, an equal housing lender. So let's check the news, see if anything's happened since we started the show at noon. Oh no, I'm doing the risky click. I've gone to Drudge Report, which is a far cry of its former self. And it looks like the top headline, must be a slow news day, is the Saudis want TikTok. And it's got a picture of the crown prince, Mohammed bin Salman, looking at his phone. So I guess the Saudis want a little TikTok to enjoy, well, the world? I don't know if Saudi really wants all the influence of TikTok, or maybe they're going to put their thumb on the scale in a particular way. Again, 272-9228 if you want to jump in on the program. But the Supreme Court has now ruled in an emergency order that Texas can arrest and deport illegal aliens. In a 6-3 vote, the Supreme Court of the United States rejects Biden's attempt to keep Texas law on hold. The Supreme Court did not fully decide the case. They're simply allowing SB 4, the Senate bill passed by the Texas legislature, signed by the governor, to go into effect while the law works through the Fifth Circuit Appeals Court. So fascinating. The state of Texas can still arrest and deport illegal aliens for the time being based on this interview. Now, the Supreme Court also rules that potential Muslim terrorists can sue the FBI over being put on a no-fly list. Now, it would be something if this guy isn't a terrorist, but that's fascinating because there have been a lot of people put on the no-fly list who have no business being there. Just one thing that shows up. And then I'm trying to figure out where this study is from. Oh, this is from the American National Election Studies from 2021. And it shows that white people are by far the least racist ethnic group in America. It's not even close. White citizens, according to this poll data, and this is, I believe, based on also election exit polls, white citizens consider, quote, everyone as equal, end quote. Well, that's what they tell you. And then they go and they meet secretly, and they screw everybody else over while they keep the face up of everybody's equal. This is absolutely what we're dealing with. Nobody trusts anybody. Nobody trusts anybody at all. That's why even this guy who continues to wrestle with his faith and doesn't claim to know much is these days praying for humility for my own sake and for everybody else's. And again, an unexpected plea for humility came actually at the Constitutional Convention, and it came from, well, an unexpected source. We'll get into that after the top of the hour break. Y'all stay tuned. More news and views in the afternoon after this.
Joey Clark.
Broadcasting from the Riverside Chevrolet Master Control Center, this is WACV Cusada, News Talk 93.1 FM. When it's Chevy, it's Riverside.
With SRN News, I'm John Scott. The Florida Supreme Court hearing arguments Wednesday on whether a ballot measure to enshrine the right to abortion in the state constitution should go before voters in November. It's one of several states where abortion might be on the ballot this year. The Biden administration this week is expected to announce new automobile emissions standards that relax the proposed limits for 3 years, but eventually reach the same strict standards proposed by the Environmental Protection Agency. BP's sprawling oil refinery in northwest Indiana has resumed normal operations more than 6 weeks after a power outage prompted the energy giant to temporarily shut down the complex and evacuate workers. The Dow had 225 points and the Nasdaq adding 58 points. This is SRN News.
Are you over 30 and putting off life insurance? It's time to get a quick quote from Ethos, a better, easier way to get term life insurance, all online with no medical exam. Answer a few health questions and you could be approved for up to $2 million. Isn't it worth 10 minutes to help protect your family's financial security? Ethos, up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at checkethos.com. That's checkethos.com.
She's gone from reporting on the sidelines to making sense of the headlines. It's the Michelle Tafoya podcast on the Salem Podcast Network.
There are people, Democrat operatives, that are saying, things are not looking good. Maybe Mr. Biden needs to bow out. Maybe the president needs to take a look at what's best for the party and say, you know what? I'm not going to run again.
Subscribe to the Michelle Tafoya podcast today on Apple, Spotify, Google, YouTube, Rumble, or at SalemPodcastNetwork.com.
Rich Thomas Weather, a service of Wiley Sanders Truck Lines, where dump truck drivers are in demand. Wiley Sanders is on the grow. We need dump truck drivers now. Call 855-77-9785.
Hi, everybody. Our late season cold snap continues. Today's temperature's way below normal with sunshine and a high temperature only about 59. I think we'll fall back to the 30s tonight with mostly clear skies and an overnight low temperature down to about 37. Some more frost in the morning. Not quite as cool Wednesday with a high near 70. We'll be in the low 70s Thursday with more sun and the next risk of scattered showers returning Thursday night into Friday. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
For the lowest prices around on flooring and DIY flooring installation supplies, Budget Floors and More is your new best friend. Luxury vinyl plank, carpet, ceramic tile, floor installation supplies, and more with prices lower than the big box stores. Budget Floors and More, Hunter Lane across from Del Rey to Publix.
1819 News.
Another controversial library board meeting occurred this past Monday night in Prattville. Hundreds of people showed up to that meeting regarding the books that are placed within the children and teen sections. One group was there to promote the LGBTQ-themed books, while others said the books are age inappropriate and too sexually explicit. Library Director Jason Baker revealed during that time that there are 41 books that have been reviewed so far, and 18 of them have been moved to a new section created for a new category called the mature teen. There will be more books reviewed and taken to that section over time. Children that are 15 years or younger will also have their library cards connected to their parents' card so that parents can also view what books have been checked out. I'll be back with more Alabama stories after this.
Some of the greatest blessings is just having people that care about you, to have someone that's just going to love you and make you feel important. They encourage you to be in church. They encourage you to be in prayer. They encourage you to be in your Bible. Now it's a part of my day every day. My house parents planted seeds in me that you can see where those seeds have sprouted in my life and helped change my life.
Big Oak Ranch, a Christian home for children needing a chance.
A third suspect in a Mobile homicide has turned himself into authorities after an ongoing search to locate him. 32-year-old Carlos Hollis is one of 3 suspects in the death of 52-year-old Rodney Tucker. Gilbert Pittman and Jessica Allen are the other 2 charged with that murder. Hollis will have a bond hearing on Wednesday of this week. 2 children that went missing from Shelbyville, Tennessee have now been found safe in Alabama. 2-year-old Journey Garrett and 9-month-old Daly Garrett were found with the non-custodial mother, Casey Campbell. The 3 were found in Powell, Alabama. Campbell is now facing aggravated kidnapping charges. I'm Andrea Tice.
For more news affecting Alabamians, go to 1819news.com. And while you're there, subscribe to the daily newsletter.
This hour of News and Views is brought to you by our good friends at Cole Plumbing, 279-8919. Cole Plumbing is number 1 in the number 2 business. You don't have to dig a hole. They have proprietary pipelining technology. Ask them about their tankless water heaters. Remember, when you have trouble with your bowl, call on Cole.
It's the best sale of the season at Cafco's Spring Open House this week. Save on home decor, floral supplies, and gifts, or find inspiration for your home in our new spring merchandise. Visit daily for door prices, new deals, and surprises throughout the store. Saturday, enjoy music by Brian Brantley at 11 to 1. And stay for our designer demonstrations at 1. Shop our Spring Open House for huge savings on our already low outlet pricing this week, 9 to 5 p.m. at Cafco Outlet, located on the Wetumpka Highway.
Can't sleep with this cold.
Honey.
Honey?
Honey, you need NyQuil Severe Honey.
NyQuil Severe Honey gives you powerful cold and flu symptom relief with a dreamy honey taste.
Feeling better, honey? Honey? I'll take that as yes.
Try NyQuil Severe Honey for powerful cold and flu symptom relief. NyQuil Severe with honey flavor. The nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, fever. Honeylicious, best sleep with a cold medicine. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
The views and opinions of the following program are solely those of the host and other contributors. These do not necessarily represent those of Liberty Acquisitions 825, Blue Water Broadcasting, its management, staff, or any advertisers. For Montgomery's conversational radio show, it's News and Views on News Talk 93.1 FM. To join the conversation, call 272-9228.
Hey, miss, I don't mean to be telling tales out of school, but there's a feller in there who'll pay you $10 if you sing into his can. I'm not here to make a record, you dumb cracker. They broadcast me out on the radio.
Joey Clark.
Welcome to the final hour. It's a little show we call News and Views. We're just a local talk show, folks. But you can now find us online at the X platform, my account at the Joey Clark on X, Twitter, whatever you're calling it. And Joey Clark Live on YouTube. Be sure to like and subscribe. Share it with your friends if you like the show or even if you hate the show. Isn't it a wonderful free country we live in? Now, over the weekend, I started getting into a biography about Benjamin Franklin and hearing discussions about old Ben Franklin. And if you go to Franklin's autobiography at one point, and he did this throughout his life, he'd come up with little aphorisms or ways of going after virtue. And he'd take each virtue and he would pursue that particular one till he felt he perfected it. Then he would move on to the next. He thought each of the virtues built on one another, but his final virtue, after becoming such a moral man, number 13, lucky number 13, humility. But then Franklin writes something that I think is a little bit ironic. At least that's how I read it. I chuckle when I read this. The 13th virtue, humility. Imitate Jesus and Socrates. You know, folks, those who compare themselves to Jesus or Socrates tend not to be hailed for their humility. Yet it is true that the humble path is never obvious or literal, else any fool could stumble upon it with dumb luck. Only after plumbing the lowest depths is man free to rise to the highest places. Only in seeking the highest summit has man ever come to know how little he knows and how truly low he is. Humility is found in private surprise, often amid rejection by all too certain crowds and authorities alike. Jesus conquered death by willingly suffering the worst death imaginable. Socrates found wisdom by coming to know he knew nothing. Perhaps Ben Franklin is onto something with his suggestion to imitate the two. For like Franklin, the son of God and the father of philosophy were never quite what they seemed to the naked literal eye. There are two kinds of people, Christopher Hitchens writes. Those who read Franklin's celebrated autobiography with a solemn expression, and those who keep laughing out loud as they go along. Benjamin Franklin still leaves his modern readers guessing with both solemnity and mirth. Undoubtedly a man of his time, few epitomize revolutionary Enlightenment thought, innovation, and politics like Benjamin Franklin. He also managed to stand above and apart from his time. Franklin's approach to life seemed like the stuff of ancient wisdom, an 18th century Solon to Voltaire's Sophocles, yet his life and legacy continue to furnish the future with fresh interpretations and perspectives. Try as we may, we never quite have Franklin figured out. Nothing is obvious in him, especially his faith and morals. The famed deist always seemed to be winking at us. Indeed, Franklin's unwritten 14th virtue might as well have read irony. By emulating Mr. Franklin himself, one can act contrary to expectations. That brings me to one of Franklin's most famous proposals, one that speaks to our own confused and arrogant age, and one that still inspires debate about America's status as a Christian nation. The 1787 Constitutional Convention in Philadelphia was at an impasse. It was a hot June day, and passions inside the convention were beginning to boil over. The central question of representation in the proposed House and Senate remained a festering open sore. Would the votes in the Houses of Congress be apportioned according to population, or would each state have an equal say? The debate was growing so inflamed between large states and small states that it threatened to break up the convention. Enter old Ben Franklin, who decided to surprise the convention with an unexpectedly humble proposal. On June the 28th, 1787, Franklin gave this speech to the Constitutional Convention. Quote, Mr. President, the small progress we have made after 4 or 5 weeks' close attendance and continual reasonings with each other, our different sentiments on almost every question, several of the last producing as many noes as ayes, is methinks a melancholy proof of the imperfection of the human understanding. We indeed seem to feel our own want of political wisdom, since we have been running about in search of it. We have gone back to ancient history for models of government, and examined the different forms of those republics which have been formed with the seeds of their own dissolution, now no longer exist. And we have viewed modern states all around Europe, but find none of their constitutions suitable to our circumstances. In this situation of this assembly, groping as it were in the dark to find political truth, and scarce able to distinguish it when presented to us, how has it happened, sir, that we have not hitherto once thought of a humbly applying to the Father of lights to illuminate our understandings? In the beginning of the contest with Great Britain, when we were sensible of danger, we had daily prayer in this room for divine protection. Our prayers, sir, were heard, and they were graciously answered. All of us who were engaged in the struggle must have observed frequent instances of a superintending providence in our favor. To that kind of providence we owe this happy opportunity of consulting in peace on the means of establishing our future national felicity. And have we now forgotten that powerful friend? Or do we imagine that we no longer need his assistance? I have lived, sir, a long time And the longer I live, the more convincing proofs I see of this truth, that God governs in the affairs of men. And if a sparrow cannot fall to the ground without his notice, is it probable that an empire can rise without his aid? We have been assured, sir, in the sacred writings that except the Lord build they labor in vain that build it. I firmly believe this, and also believe that without his concurring aid, we shall succeed in this political building no better than the builders of Babel. We shall be divided by our little partial local interest. Our projects will be confounded, and we ourselves shall become a reproach and a byword down to future age. And what's worse, mankind may hereafter from this unfortunate instance despair of establishing governments by human wisdom, and leave it to chance, war, and conquest. I therefore beg leave to move that henceforth prayers imploring the assistance of heaven and its blessings on our deliberations be held in this assembly every morning before we proceed to business, and that one or more of the clergy of this city be requested to officiate in that service. After a sparse debate, after Franklin's speech, Franklin's proposal for daily prayer was eventually shelved and never passed. I believe Hamilton made the argument that, well, if we all of a sudden start doing prayer and giving it up to God and divine providence and protection in the middle of this convention, people will think there's something wrong with the convention. So we got to keep up appearances. Another guy rose up and said, well, we can't really afford to pay a member of the clergy to do that for us every day. And so it wasn't voted down. It was just tabled or shelved and never passed. Though ultimately rejected, Franklin's mere suggestion seemed like a gadfly to spur on his colleagues to later compromise. In reaction to his proposal being rejected, Franklin would write at the bottom of the copy of his speech, "The convention, except 3 or 4 persons, thought prayers unnecessary." What humility I find in that simple private surprise. One must wonder if Jesus or Socrates were ever so surprised.
He may not know whether he's coming or going, but whether you're going to work or coming home, Greg Budell is there. Mornings 6 till 9 and afternoons 3 till 6. Only on News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Hi, this is Bo Goodson from the Goodson Group. Have you ever considered turning your home into a rental and build wealth at the same time? People throughout the river region are doing that right now. By investing wisely in the right property or turning your current home into a rental is the secret. Hiring a property manager to professionally manage your property is the way to prosperity. Our company does all of the advertising, personally showing prospective tenants, does a thorough background check and credit report before moving forward. Over 15 critical services are provided to our clients in protecting the asset, but also providing the best residence in your home possible. Collecting rent on time and frequent inspections help landlords feel better about renting their house, and to provide clean, well-kept homes that anybody would be proud to call home. For a complete list of property management services, call Bo Goodson at the Goodson Group at 221-2883 or 551-0225.
For too long, Alabama's statewide news companies have shamed us for our conservative Christian values. Alabama deserves a news company that cherishes our culture, a company that isn't bought and paid for by the powers that be. 1819 News is that company. Run by Alabamians for Alabamians, 1819 News celebrates what is good and beautiful about our state, while exposing those who work against our values in secret. Just go to 1819news.com to learn more. Subscribe to our newsletter. That's 1819news.com.
Hi, this is Carl Schmidt, naturopath and owner of the Herb Shop. Listen every Saturday to Winning Wellness and learn from experts in different fields of science and technology how nutritional supplements can help you.
Listen to Winning Wellness every Saturday at 10 a.m.
This hour of News and Views is brought to you by our good friends at Cole Plumbing, 279-8919. Cole Plumbing is number 1 in the number 2 business. You don't have to dig a hole. They have proprietary pipelining technology. Ask them about their tankless water heaters. Remember, when you have trouble with your bowl, call on Cole.
Trustworthy, accurate, immediate. Carrying your voice across the river region. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back. 272-9228 if you want to get in on the program. That's 334-272-9228. This part of the program brought to you by Pest Pro Services. Really fantastic folks there, great local folks. They're right at Main Street, Millbrook. And Ashley and the team, well, Pest Pro's been growing for good reason. They're just that good at what they do, especially with spring being pretty much here. It's a little cold this morning, but everybody outside seems to be waking up, including those little critters that try to get inside your home or mess with you out in the yard. So I'm thinking wasps, I'm thinking fire ants, I'm thinking mosquitoes, and I'm especially thinking termites. So at Pest Pro, what they can do is take care of a lot of that stuff for you if you know you, in fact, have a problem. But when it comes to, say, something like termites, homeowner's insurance doesn't cover termite treatment or damage, so you might as well get the treatment done before you ever have any property damage. The treatment is much less expensive than it is fixing up once the termites start eating away at your home. And what Pest Pro can do is essentially lay bait. So if termites ever do get on your property, they'll know and they'll be able to come and take care of them. And of course, they can help you with any problem there. As I was just saying, all these little critters are waking up for springtime. You want to make sure your home is jam up and jelly tight. So they're at Pest Pro Services. They can help you when you call 265-9990. That's 265-9990. Or you can always go to ppsriverregion.com or just search Pest Pro Services on the Book of Faces. When you want to know, call a pro. Pest Pro Services. And be sure to tell them that, well, Joey, that fool on the radio sent you. Again, 272-9228. That's 334-272-9228. If you want to hop in on the program, let's see who this is on line one. You're on there. Who's this?
Papa B.
Hey, Papa B. How you doing?
Man, I'm really enjoying the show today. Wow. What's the Prattville carpet guy's name? Ray
Bowles, yeah.
I'm telling you what, I didn't know what a stand-up guy he is. I always admired him, of course. But, boy, standing up for what's right and to see the really cowardice of people that, would call themselves Christians in the churches, I guess, the pastors maybe, I don't know who he's talking about, but not really come to his side and stand with him. That's kind of sick. Very much so, and I'd like to say, in spite of the apparent, what we feel now, it looks like some widespread big movement, that the country is going toward. This is not a grassroots movement, okay?
No.
This has been a well-planned, well-organized, well-funded movement, and it has been a long time in the making. We have been asleep at the switch and allowed things to happen, made allowances, tried to, appease and get along, instead of doing what Ray was doing and just stand up to it and say, no, we can be reasonable, but we're not going to be, allow things like the kids to be corrupted, which is exactly what would happen and exactly what, those on the left would want to happen. You know it, see it, they've admitted it. I mean, there's no reason in trying to wonder about it anymore. It's just one of the lines that we've just got to draw and say, no, look, if you want to read those books, fine. We're not going to let, kids have them, though. You can check them out. If you want to read them to your kids, fine. I don't really like it. I don't think it's right, but, I can't stop you from at least doing that, you know.
Well, and here's my big takeaway. I don't think this is about a practical issue at all. Because think about all the time and money that's going into the political fight. You could provide books to all sorts of people. I think what's happening is a symbolic fight over who essentially rules the roost in a public setting like a library. Now, if it was up to me, if I was, say, dictator of Alabama, I'd say no more libraries for anybody.
Well, that's what I would say, first of all. You know, that's the first thing that I would say. Like, wait a minute, you mean people actually go to the library still?
Well, I'm serious, Papa B. People have been reading too much, so we're shutting it down. After further investigation, we might open them back up.
Well, you know, the social justice left has been very clever in playing the long game, and now, you know, they have managed to gain control of several seats of power, not just in the government, but I mean in institutions, left, right, sideways, even in the churches, you know, in some cases. But it's time that really, if you love this country, like Senator Tuberville saying, you can't hide in the shadows anymore. You got to stand up. You know, you got to stand up for what's right. Hey, it's gonna. I don't believe, Joey, that the Democrats can win in a fair fight. Okay, in this next election, or really any election. But believe it when I tell you, if they see that they are going to lose, I don't think they're going to stop, you know, with just talking about it. I think they're projecting that MAGA will go out and do violent things. Well, don't you remember, Joey, back in, you know, 2020 when Biden was elected, how the folks, everybody were out burning buildings, looting, right? Oh, wait a minute. That wasn't us. That was 2016 when Donald Trump won. So, and all the way through his 4-year cycle, in one form or another, that was happening. So I think that's what they're going to do. When they see they can't win, I think they're going to get violent. And, you know, I think we all need to be prepared for that. But anyway, rambling thoughts, but, you know, you see a few points in there that.
Well, yeah, and I was going to say, if we ever do end up with an American Caesar or dictator type figure, it ain't going to come from the right.
No.
And hell, we already had one. It's not even hypothetical. Look at what FDR was able to do.
There ain't no doubt. And that, well, I tell you what, they look at that with the social justice left looks at the FDR time as their favorite time because they had it all under control. They had the whole country under their thumb. So I guess they think that, you know, depression and war is the way to do it, and that's what they want to try to.
And I heard from many, I think it was the power of radio at that time, not just in this country, but all over the world. Radio was a very powerful tool. And till the day he died, my granddaddy, he thought FDR hung the moon and the stars.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And so, you know, I somewhat get the perspective, but people don't need to kid themselves. If we ever have a Caesar in this country, it'll probably come from the left. Though the ideal Caesar is, purple. Not just the robes he wears, but would probably bring everybody together. But I appreciate it.
All right, bud.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Let's go to line 3. You're on there. Who's this?
Hey, Joy, this is Larry.
Hey, Larry. How are you?
I'm well. How are you, buddy?
Good.
Well, I've sort of been. I heard Ray Bowles earlier, and I know this situation is going on about the library over in Prattville, and you know those people are just not going to be happy unless they get it their way. And I saw a post on Facebook the other day where they talking about the books being banned, and they had a stack of books, you know, and you would think those were the books that they were trying to ban, you know, at the library, but they were things like Catcher in the Rye and Kill a Mockingbird. None of those books are on that list as far as I know. But they're not telling the truth about actually what the books are. And I think Ray pointed out, you know, people of certain age, they've not been able to do certain things anyway, certain movies, they can't drink, et cetera, et cetera. And I do think it's up to the parents. They're not happy with putting it back in the adult section and letting the parent make the choice. They want the kids to be able to go in and get it. That's the only way that they'll be satisfied.
Yeah. And again, I don't think this is about practicality. I think it's more a symbolic identity issue.
Yeah. I mean, I heard the guy that called, talked to Ray right at the end of his time on your show there, and then I had to get out of the car, so I couldn't call at that time. But he's not going to be satisfied. He's not going to be satisfied until they're in the kids section. Any child, any age, can walk in there reading things that I would not want my children to read at the time. I think children have to. They're children. They have to grow in their mind and their body, and I think parents should be there to guide them along. But they're not going to be happy until the kids can go in and pick them up. So it's going to be a battle. But I hope that Ray does it. And I agree with Ray. The churches have been cowards. They're not standing up to this.
And it's fascinating. This seems like a microcosm of kind of what went on with COVID. And here's what I mean. Is that we don't care if you're elected duly by the people. We're the experts. We're the professionals, whether it's in virology, epidemiology, or when it comes to running a library. So shut up, you elected officials. Let us, the professionals, be above all of y'all because we're science or something. It's fascinating how that works.
Yeah, it is. All right. Enjoy the show. Thank you, Joey.
Thank you, Larry. And the local legend, Larry Stevens, there. I aspire to have a voice like that one day. Let's go to line one. You're on there. Who's this?
Ron?
Hey, Ron. How you doing?
I'm doing okay. How about yourself, Joey?
I'm surviving.
Oh, great. Listen, I know the discussion about the libraries come up. I think it's an important discussion to have, but I tell you what's going on in the public schools, starting at kindergarten, and what they're exposing these little kindergartens. What is kindergarten age? About 5 years old?
Yeah.
Man, what in the world does a kindergarten need to be learning the stuff they're teaching to them? This is public schools that's going on, and it hadn't just started. They've been doing this for several years now in kindergarten.
Right.
And so, I mean, I think they're just trying to change the mindset of our very young children.
Oh yeah.
That sounds like brainwashing to me. I was just wondering what you thought about that issue with the public schools, let alone the public libraries.
Well, and when you're talking nationally, I think here's what's going on. When you want to shape people's opinions and minds and preferences, you do it as early as possible. Kids are incredibly impressionable, of course. They're sponges. They're a little bit like clay, too. And I'll put it this way. It might be a weird example, but if you're, say, born in Alabama, especially rural Alabama, you're probably going to grow up to be a Christian, probably Baptist. Now, it might be some other denomination, but you're probably going to be Christian and be Christian at least nominally. You might fall away and come back your whole life. If you grow up in Saudi Arabia, you're probably going to be a Sunni Muslim. There are examples of people converting one way or the other. My point is that the environment you grow up in is going to be incredibly influential. And as much as all of us want to think, no, I completely made up my own mind on all these things, I think people underestimate, though everybody realizes it, that's why we're having this fight, how much children are shaped at a very early age, and it's hard to change that shaping down the road. And thus the fights we're having.
Well, that's my whole point about the kindergarten deal.
Yep. Yep.
Well, all right. Thank you, man.
Appreciate it, Ron. Yeah, and I sit here without a child. I'm not a parent and really haven't had a relationship that's lasted longer than an Altoid. But, I still have an opinion, and I keep in mind that when it comes to questions of children, minors, they should be protected. Provided for and protected. How do you do that? Well, there is, I think, good faith disagreement. But one of the things where I think we're really dropping a ball as a society is starting to expose young children to subjects they do not understand. Now, I'm not even just talking about sexuality, all sorts of things. And I think that's partly our technology and where our technology has taken us. and how you do have access to all the information you ever wanted there online. The good, the bad, the ugly, the divine, and the depraved all rolled up into one. And so a lot of guidance, I think, is needed. And of course, the adults who feel invested in wanting to look out for the kids, shape them in the way they envision, well, they're going to have different opinions about to do this. The most litigious aspect of our society is around public schools. And it's because people don't agree on the basics. In fact, that you go back to your Thomas Hobbes. Why do we need liberty? Why do you need liberty whatsoever? It's because people don't agree on first principles. And very rarely have they even gotten close to agreeing on first principles. And that's within a small society or a body politic, a polity that maybe has hundreds, if not thousands of years of history behind them, and they craft their own, say, identity. Look at the Europeans, for instance. Look at the Russians. The Chinese hail back to thousands of years that they can rely on. Well, when you're talking a new nation that is now a global power, for better or for worse, and is made up of a society of people who are incredibly different from one another, in a way it can be our strength, because everybody can rise. If you're trying to hire somebody, you want to hire from the biggest possible talent pool there is. You want to bring in everybody who can rise and meet on merit the best job. But when you try to shove down everybody's throat that this is the way it's going to be nationwide, then of course people aren't going to agree and things are going to get ugly. My humble solution to this and so many other problems is you have more local governance. And if you don't like living in a particular town, you can move. Oh, but it's, I think, a better solution than having one standard, pretending like everybody agrees from a national center. It is what's actually, ironically, the push for a national unity where all the standards are from the same opinion makers, a few thousand people in this country shaping everybody's ideas. I don't think that's healthy. And ironically, that drive for unity is tearing us apart bit by bit. And you definitely see it on the question of children and what they should be taught, how they should be raised. It's probably the most important thing any given person will do. There are a few who decide not to have children and go for the brass ring and do some amazing thing. That's a big sacrifice to make. But for most folks, the most important thing you will ever do in this life is raise your children, to protect and provide for them. So no wonder people get a little feisty when it comes to those questions. 272-9228. That's 334-272-9228 if you want to get it on the program. Now, this part of the program, again, brought to you by Montgomery Men's Health. And, you know, we often talk about guys getting older who have testosterone problems. So you're getting into your mid-30s, your 40s, your 50s, your 60s. Well, naturally, you're going to produce less testosterone. But some guys want to keep that edge as they get up there in age. They want to still have that mental acuity. They still want to have that good aggression that drives them to take on the task of the day, the week, the month, the year. But it's now happening, low T is happening, to a lot of young men. A lot of different theories about it, from the chemicals in the water to microplastics to just the way we interact, lifestyle in general. So doctors are now recommending that men as young as 18 start getting their testosterone checked on at least an annual basis. Make it part of your annual men's health routine. And you don't want to just ignore it. If you're feeling a lack of energy, always tired, perhaps unwanted weight gain, loss of muscle mass, even a decrease in sex drive, it could very well be low T that's giving you trouble. And the great news is there at Montgomery Men's Health, they have, well, low T treatments that can truly change lives. So what you need to do is make an appointment, and they'll conduct a testosterone-focused lab workup plus a consultation for only $99. And those treatments can improve men, like higher energy, better gains in the gym, better mental clarity, improved sleep patterns, faster metabolism. You might even notice an increased libido. There's a lot right with that. You can actually book the same day that you call. Guys, it's time to feel amazing and hit your goals this year. That number, 440-3663. That's 440-3663. Or go to MontgomeryMen'sHealth.com to book your appointment today. And be sure to tell them that Joey fella on the radio sent you.
Want to carry News Talk in your pocket? Download the News Talk 93.1 app from the App Store. Available on iPhone and Android. Never miss a moment. Download now.
Hey, if you are push mowing your yard using an inefficient lawn tractor, or your current zero turn spends more time in the shop than mowing your grass, it's time for you to look at a Hustler zero turn lawnmower. Residential mowers from Hustler are built like tanks and drive like sports cars. All Hustler mowers have fabricated welded steel decks. Don't settle on that cheap unit with flimsy stamped decks from the big box stores. Go to Deatsville Ace Hardware and they'll guide you to the right mower for your property and your budget. Find them at Deatsville Ace Hardware, US 31, just north of the Pine Level exit.
Hello, this is David Ernest with Ernest Financial. And just like Ernest Financial makes lots of money for our clients, Blue Water has helped us make lots of money for our company. You cannot go wrong with advertising with Blue Water Broadcasting.
Now you can add the power of digital advertising to the #1 reach of radio. Let Blue Water's 20 years of local advertising and marketing success show you how. Grow your business with a complete suite of digital solutions, combined with the reach of the most listened to radio group in the River region. Call us or go to BlueWaterBroadcasting.com to find out how we can increase your return on investment. Blue Water Broadcasting, local folks helping local business.
The Health and Wealth Show. The Health and Wealth Show. The show so nice, we said it twice. Weekday evenings at 6 on News Talk 93.1 WACV. The Health.
Break it up, son. Joke's over, hey?
This hour of News and Views is brought to you by our good friends at Cole Plumbing, 279-8919. Cole Plumbing is #1 in the #2 business. You don't have to dig a hole. They have proprietary pipelining technology. Ask them about their tankless water heaters. Remember, when you have trouble with your bowl, call on Cole.
Rich Thomas weather brought to you by H&H Carpets, where you will find a complete line of Mohawk carpet with exceptionally clean, smart strand fiber. It's always available and ready to be installed. H&H Carpets, across from Walmart on the Atlanta Highway.
Rich Thomas weather. Hi, everybody. Our late season cold snap continues. Today's temperature is way below normal with sunshine and a high temperature only about 59. I think we'll fall back to the 30s tonight with mostly clear skies and an overnight low temperature down to about 37. Some more frost in the morning. Not quite as cool Wednesday with a high near 70. We'll be in the low 70s Thursday with more sun and the next risk of scattered showers returning Thursday night into Friday. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
Whether you're buying a home or auto or consolidating debt, CB&S Bank's personal loans get you where you need to go. Go to cbsbank.com to find a location near you or apply online today. All loans subject to credit approval, member FDIC, and equal housing lender.
All the headlines the mainstream media won't touch. Your News Talk station. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back. 272-9228 if you want to get in on the program. That's 272-9228. This might be a special last-second guest calling in. You're on there. Who's this?
Hey, it's Becky Garrettson with Eagle Forum.
Hello, Becky. How you doing today?
I am doing especially great today.
Oh, wow. Yeah, people see you walking around. They're like, did she sleep with a coat hanger in her mouth?
No, we had such great news this morning.
No.
Can I fill you in on the details?
Sure.
Okay, so some of your listeners may remember that the transgender bill that banned the puberty blockers, prostate hormones, sex reassignment surgery, we had some involvement in that bill. And if you remember back in 2022, the DOJ joined in that lawsuit with parents who were saying the law was unconstitutional, and the Department of Justice subpoenaed us and wanted all the information that, emails and information given to legislators, and we're not even a party to this lawsuit. So the judge quashed the subpoena and ruled in our favor back then in 2022. Well, in January of this year, the private plaintiffs of the case subpoenaed us. And the judge had made it very clear that subpoenaing our organization was not right, had nothing to do with whether this was constitutional or not. And he really came down hard on the Department of Justice. Well, today we had a hearing with the judge, and long story short, he was so frustrated that they were back in court, dragging us to court, wanting all this information that they don't have a right to have, and it's stifling our First Amendment rights. So after our attorneys all made their arguments on why the subpoena should be quashed, the plaintiffs get up, and the judge is like, I cannot believe that we're here today. Basically, I made myself clear, you guys can't do this. And he said, I'm going to let you have this opportunity to say, I made a mistake, that you made a mistake, and withdraw your subpoena. So I'll give you a few minutes to discuss that. Wow. Which is amazing. Like, that was so generous of him to do. And he took a very, few minutes. He walked off, came back a few minutes later, and they said, we'd like to take you up on that, and we're just going to go ahead and withdraw the subpoena. And then he sanctioned them for attorney's fees. So they had to pay for our attorney's fees $25,000. And it was just a beautiful thing, and I'm just so thankful.
Wow. That's amazing. I didn't know this was, I guess I'm just as surprised as the judge. I thought this was kind of over and done with.
Right. Well, and it was so funny to hear the judge, because he's like, at the very beginning, when our attorney got up and said, I'm really surprised that we're back here again. I thought that you had taken care of this with your written order. His written order was very strict and was very curt. And the judge sarcastically said, well, yeah, I thought I did address it back then. So anyway, he just kind of played along and was frustrated with them. But he gave them the opportunity to withdraw, and they did.
Now, when you look at the developments all around the world, do you in a way feel vindicated? I know y'all always believe we're doing the right thing here, but when you see the UK now putting bans in place, a lot of the top-notch, like in terms of science, the Nordic countries are saying this stuff is miserable idea for kids.
Yes.
So
No, I'm very happy to see this. And the lawsuit in Alabama, we're in the discovery phase right now. When I say we, the state of Alabama is fighting against these plaintiffs and the Department of Justice, who have sued the state for this law. That actual hearing will take place in the fall. And with all of this information coming out, more and more research being done showing that these drugs are terribly harmful for children. And they don't have the ability to make these kind of decisions to mutilate their bodies with these medications and these cross-sex hormones and all that. So I'm really looking forward to the trial in the fall. And, of course, I'll be on to talk about it, and hopefully there'll be some really good outcomes. But the law is in place in the state of Alabama, and we were one of the very first states to have a law in place, active, where you can't give puberty blockers, cross-sex hormones, or sex reassignment surgery to any minors trying to change their sex or their gender, I should say.
well, and y'all were, like I said early, and I'm amazed that this is still going on for Eagle Forum. But kudos to that judge. Hat tip to that judge for essentially, it sounded like a parent scolding a child the way you described it.
Yeah, well, and the attorneys they're in trouble also because they were judge stopping, which is a huge no-no. When the law was passed back in 2021, this parent sued like a week or two later, and they didn't like that judge, so they withdrew the suit, filed a new suit with another judge. That is really bad. You don't do that. And so after our hearing this morning was the hearing over that. So I'm interested to see what's going to happen with that.
Well, anything else while I got you on the phone, kind of on your radar as we're on the second half of the legislative session?
Yeah, let me give you a quick update on the gambling situation. And I'm sorry if my phone is cutting out and not sounding good. I'm in a weird place. But, okay, here's the latest on the gambling bill. The Senate passed it, recently, and the House is ready to concur with that bill. But they're going to hold it up all week. They're not going to do the gambling bill this week, and they have spring break next week, so they're going to push it off. They're going to hold up bills from the Senate. There's just a lot of anger going on right now in the House, and so we're kind of in a holding pattern right now. But we did find out that when the governor, when she makes a compact with the Indians in this lottery-only bill, it will allow for sports betting, online sports betting, and online casinos through a new regulation, federal regulation that was just passed in January. So when people think it's lottery only, the Indians can now, once he makes a compact with them, they'll be able to have a server on their property, and anyone in the state of Alabama can now gamble on their phone. And we don't like that. This is not a good thing. This is not lottery only, and we're very alarmed by it. So our encouragement is to everybody out there, please ask your legislators to vote no on all gambling bills that have come up, because it's still in process.
Yeah, and well, I was worried this is going to be a last-second thing, and we'll see. I mean, my bet at the beginning of the session is
Your
it ain't.
bet? That's
Yeah,
hilarious.
it ain't going to get done. I think the interest in the state that are already in gaming makes so much money with the status quo. They're happy to sort of wait it out to see if they can get the perfect hand to be the house at the end of the day.
Exactly.
So I think it might fall apart again. And, you mentioning that the legislators are going on spring break. All of a sudden, I got the image of a lot of these yahoos in like swim trunks, and I'm like, they should not be wearing those in public. And neither should I. I'm getting fatter by the day. But it's just like I don't want to see you guys with a Mai Tai on the beach. Get back to work or go home.
If you want to see something fun, Wednesday night at the Biscuit Stadium is the annual House and Senate softball game. The House versus the Senate. It is a hoot. You can heckle them to death, which is really fun to do. I'm kind of worried because some of them are older and they play and they're pulling hamstrings and hurting themselves, but it's really fun to watch. And that is going to be Wednesday evening at Biscuit Stadium. So come on out and have fun heckling the guys and gals.
I appreciate the impromptu call, Becky. Really do appreciate the update. And let's talk again soon.
Okay, sounds great. You all have a great day.
You too. Again, this part of the program brought to you by Josh and Leslie Ryder there at Dillon Rings. Now, this week, they are closed because they're doing renovations. They're trying to make the showroom look even better. When you walk in, you're like, man, what a beautiful place. And look at all this jewelry. They have an amazing selection there at Dillon Rings. They always have special discounts. That's why you need to always think about stopping by 119 Brown Springs Road. I remember it by thinking that's where Fun Zone used to be, right off of Atlanta Highway, kind of Atlanta Highway, Taylor Road, that whole area, sort of AUM in that area. So what you can do is go by there once they open back up. Or even if you're hungry to look for things this week, you can go to DillonRings.com or just search Dillon Rings on the Book of Faces or on Instagram. And you can see the amazing selection they have. But you'll also find that they're a full-service jewelry shop. So maybe your jewelry needs a spa treatment, needs to be cleaned up. Maybe you need a repair done, or you need to update a piece of jewelry, or have a custom design done out of your imagination. If you can dream it, Josh Ryder can make it a reality. So check them out today. Again, that's Dillon Rings, 119 Brown Springs Road, or you can always just search Dillon Rings on Facebook or Instagram. And be sure to tell Josh and Leslie Ryder that Joey, that fella from the radio, sent you. We'll be right back. Quick break here.
He may not know whether he's coming or going, but whether you're going to work or coming home, Greg Budell is there. Mornings, 6 till 9, and afternoons, 3 till 6. Only on News Talk 93.1 FM, WACV.
The Veterans Access to Care bill now in the Alabama State Legislature will relieve the overwhelmed federal VA healthcare system and provide the specially tailored care that veterans need.
Paid for by the Alabama Council of Chapters Military Officers Association of America, Mobile.
This hour of News and Views is brought to you by our good friends at Cole Plumbing, 279-8919. Cole Plumbing is number one in the number two business. You don't have to dig a hole. They have proprietary pipelining technology. Ask them about their tankless water heaters. Remember, when you have trouble with your bowl, call on Cole.
We get Montgomery talking 24 hours a day. The River Region's most trusted voice. News Talk 93.1 FM, WACV.
Joey Clark.
Like I said, quick break. Welcome back. Closing minutes here of News and Views in the afternoon, or as we're calling it on YouTube, online, Joey Clark Live. And you can always like and subscribe on YouTube. Joey Clark Live is the name of the channel. Just search for it there. Or you can always watch on the X platform. I do appreciate all the love today on X. continuing to grow this humble little show. Really do appreciate it. Just go to @thejoeyclark on Twitter or X or whatever we're calling it. Let's go to line 1. Oh, no, you dropped. Okay. Never mind, line 1. Hey, this part of the program brought to you by Prattville Carpet. And they're at Prattville Carpet. Well, Ray Bowles and that team are ready to help you out with any of your resurfacing needs. It could be you want to redo the living room, you want to redo the bathroom, could be you want to do the kitchen upright. We can put ceramic tile on the countertops or the backsplash there. But what you need to do is call them up. Call up Prattville Carpet at 285-8117 and ask about a free in-home measurement. They will come to you. They'll measure. That means when you pick out the material you want to use, whether it's brand new carpet, traditional hardwood, luxury vinyl plank, the laminate products, the new ones are also fantastic. They'll know exactly how much it's going to cost and how long it's going to take, and they get the job done quite well there at Prattville Carpet. So again, that number, 285-8117, great family-owned local business, and they've been a great sponsor of the show for years and years now. It's, we're doing business together, but also think they're just great people over there. Y'all check them out today. Let's go to line 1. You're on there. Who's this?
Hey, Joey, Ken.
Hey, Ken. How are you?
I'm well. I was hoping I'd catch a bounce on whoever vacated line 1 for you. A brief comment, which is a compliment, about your preceding monologue about the most important things to help preserve our current society, or the kind of society most of us and our founding fathers wanted us to have, and that is the raising and education and nurturing of our children. We are flunking badly, and my contention is that parents should not be allowed to abandon the care of their children, and that includes the male parent as well as the female parent. Right. I hope to see. I think you're right about the gambling legislation. We can all just cool it until the last evening. Then hang on to your wives, your family, and your wallet during that last day and the last evening up till midnight. But that's probably where the gambling legislation will get passed. Once they finally decide how and where you can waste a lot of your money and who will be allowed to vacuum it all up and take it to their coffers, then maybe they can address things like parental responsibility. But don't hold your breath.
All right. Yeah, and like I said, I think folks you would hope parents realize that's probably the most important thing you're ever going to do is raise your children, right? And I mean, some people, maybe, you transnavigate the globe, but somebody already did that. So we'll see. Maybe you get to Mars. But I appreciate the call, Ken. I really do.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. Look who it is. Hey, Greg, actually sit in that middle chair there so I can get you on camera.
Here?
Yeah, right there. How you doing?
I am tired. I've been working out too much.
So the bike rides.
The bike rides, and I've been working with weights too.
Oh, really?
And crunching my gut out.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm impressed.
And it's actually making a difference. I was just telling somebody I had to go like really deep into my closet for clothes that I haven't worn in over 10 years. And they're fitting. Some are even falling off. It's a nice problem to have.
I'm going in the right direction again.
Yeah.
Like I'm now, I think, 224. I was like 230 something. So I'm going in the right direction, but I've had busy days, so I didn't even hit the gym today.
Well, I've heard you had a hell of a show.
No, it's been a great show, but then they informed me, did you see my car?
No.
And we're going to get it taken care of. The people who did this said, we'll take care of it. But,
oh, man.
It was an accident, and that's, stuff happens.
An accident?
Yeah, well, they were doing the yard.
So they ricocheted a bullet into your window.
Yeah, something like that.
Oh, nice.
But they're going to take care of it. They better.
Yeah. Yeah. I know a good lawyer. Her name is Jacqueline Tomlinson.
Oh, I don't want to get on the wrong side of her.
No. She will cage fight anybody that tries to hurt you.
Yeah.
She's told me that.
Yeah, go for the eyes first. No. Oh, man. So
that's why I park on this side of the lot, because they can happen.
From now on. from now on. But the happy hour this afternoon going to be a bloodbath?
Oh, absolute bloodbath. Yeah. Yeah.
It's good for the skin.
That's what I hear. It's refreshing, and you get kind of an irony taste in your mouth after a while.
Right. Like pennies.
Yeah.
But it's good for us.
No, I'm pissed. I'm so I know you spent some time on the Prattville Library issue today, but the thing that's really got under my skin today is Ketanji Brown.
Oh, yeah.
And this garbage that somehow the First Amendment prohibits the government from censoring. That's the frickin' idea.
Well, and then Napolitano informed me when I brought this up to him at the beginning of the show that it's not just Ketanji Brown Jackson. It's also Brett Kavanaugh.
What?
And John Roberts. Creatures of Washington both.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
You can't count on them for anything.
I know. And all the love that was thrown Kavanaugh's way because of the way he was accused. And then he really is the big government guy that somebody like Judge Knapp suspected back then.
We were founded by insurrectionists. The First Amendment is absolute, and the government is supposed to be limited, and the First Amendment is supposed to protect us from that. And they want to...
I can see you getting worked up already. But,
yeah, I am.
But let's just... How about this? I'm going to give up the microphone because I'm tired and I got to figure out what the heck to do with my window.
I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, it is what it is. But
bad things happen to good people.
Happy Hour with Greg Budell. He's next.
Broadcasting from the Riverside Chevrolet Master Control Center, this is